So last week, we had a special message from Nitro Kurt, a.k.a. Muggy Maniac. Don't forget to check him out on YouTube. This week, I have a guest. It's probably almost Friday already where he is, but all the way from Eastern Australia is Mr. Fancy Pants. What's up?
What's going on, dude? I just broke out of jail. We are known to be convicts down here, so just doing it for the podcast, bro.
Damn Australians. Let's hit that intro, man. We got a new intro. Check it out.
Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Yes, indeed. Nitro is the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number, 114, I think it is, of the No Name RC podcast. I'm losing count. We did a live last week. I didn't put the audio up, so this is 114, I believe. But yeah, my name is Keenan White, a.k.a. Lefty the Great, and joining me this week is not JQ. He's too busy at the track. It is actually my good buddy, Zac Ryan from Australia. He is in the background. I'm going to bring him on and introduce him in a minute before I have to just, do my normal thank you because I got to say thank you to everybody. We do not have a guest this week. We're trying to do like a DNC preview type of thing. We're planning some live shows next week for DNC, maybe on Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll see how that goes. Still working on that. But yeah, no guest this week. Maybe we get JQ on. Maybe we got a special somebody on to come on and talk a little bit about DNC. But Zac's been to DNC, so we'll talk about that with him as well. Thank you to everybody, man. Thank you to all of the NNRC Squad around the world. Without you guys, we can't do none of this. Greatly appreciate your support with all of this. Hey, man, our socials are growing. We're up to 30, almost 3,300 likes on Facebook. Keep that going. All right, the Instagram's growing, the followings are coming. I hope you guys are liking the pictures. Thank you for sending me the pictures for the Reader's Rides. And that YouTube's getting there. It's at 805, 195 to go. And we get to that 1,000 sub level. And I'm going to eat that toe of Satan. In fact, just in case you guys thought I was BSing, here it is. The toes. I have 2 of these. And I am going to eat this when I get 1,000 subs on YouTube. Watch me suffer. If you haven't seen me suffer yet, check out the Packy Chick Challenge on my YouTube channel. Also, shout out to all the patrons of the podcast. I greatly appreciate your support. Patrons of the NNRC. You guys help things happen, pay bills, help get new product. And when I get back to traveling, help me get to traveling. So thank you guys. If you want to be a patron of the podcast, the link is in the written description here. Every little bit helps, so thank you. Shout out to the awesome companies that sponsor this podcast. We have Mayako. They had a video drop a couple of weeks ago, and we haven't really heard anything about them, the mystery that is Mayako, but maybe we'll hear something here soon. So thank you to Mayako, Beach RC, Tekno RC, Manscaped.com. Don't forget your promo code for Manscaped in the description of this podcast. Sun City RC, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic, JQ Threads, Wally Builds, RCGP, House of RC. I'm probably forgotten somebody, but yeah, go to House of RC, sign up, check out Wally, JQ Threads, all of that stuff. And of course, my JQ Racing family around the world. The Ghani, man, he went out in 140 plus this week at JBRL. Amazing, completely amazing. A special shout out to my people that helped me out a lot here in the podcast. They are Rowan the Barbarian, Adam, and yeah, my boy Weldon, who's always helping me out. So thank you to those guys for their help. And enough of me babbling on. Thank you, everybody, for the support. Thank you, all the companies. Remember, everybody, showing our sponsors some love. Shows the podcast some love. So go, show them some love. We have affiliate links. We have promotional codes for you to save some money. Show the sponsors some love. Let's bring on Zac. I think he's anxious. He's probably had a few beers. And that's great, because I love it when we get a few beers on. And we start talking RC. What's up, Zachary? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Can I call you Zachary?
You can if you want to, man. No one really calls me that though.
Okay, that's exactly why I call you that. I like using the full name. What's up? Welcome again to the podcast. You have been on the podcast previously. We did an interview with you last year sometime. I don't remember the show number. Maybe I should have that in my notes, but I don't. So that's fine. But you are gonna be a part of the rotational co-host of the podcast, which I greatly appreciate. You are actually a minor, so you work 1 week on and 1 week off, so it'll be every couple of weeks that you come on. So thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, man, absolute pleasure. I mean, the podcast is doing so good. I mean, it's something that we all always listen to down here, and yeah, it's pretty cool to be on the show.
Yeah. Also, thank you for your support, man. You, Ben Panic, and a bunch of the Australian guys have supported the podcast from the get-go. I greatly appreciate it. You have a blog that we post up on the No Name RC podcast website called Mr. Fancy Pants that you call yourself that. I think, Jake, you gave you that name, I believe.
Yeah, well, I'm actually the Fancy Pants sidekick that JQ called me. So Ben Panic is actually the original Fancy Pants, but I guess we go in the same category if you're listening to JQ, probably.
That's all right. I can't wait to get you and him together one day on this podcast. I think it's going to be so awesome. And shout out to Ben Panic as well. He's the original Mr. Fancy Pants, I guess.
Yeah, he's the man.
Great dude. I enjoy my conversations with Ben. So check out Zac's blog on the NNRC website. It's Mr. Fancy Pants. We have 3 blogs going on my ramblings. Zac's really good at writing. And Brian Martinek also released one, Tales of a 40-plus Racer. But just to give people a little background on you, Zac, you've been into RC for quite a long time. You've written for an Australian RC magazine. Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, so I started racing when I was 14. So, that's 20 years ago. It's pretty scary to think that it's gone that long. But, I mean, what a hobby, man. It's a passion that I love. And, it's not just about racing cars. It's the mateship. It's going overseas and traveling and having a good time with your friends as well. And, RC's brought so much of that in my life. And, people look at you funny when you say you race RC, but they've just got no idea about, the breadth of the opportunities that it gives you. And, running for the magazine was one of them, really. Like, I was racing at some major races in Australia and managed to meet the owner and editor of Racing Lines, and he got me pretty much on the books and started writing for the magazine and gave me heaps of opportunity and flew me around a lot of countries in Asia, New Zealand, South Africa. So yeah, I would never have got this opportunity without RC, that's for sure.
Yeah, RC's been very good to me. Lots of opportunities, meeting awesome people. That's one of the biggest things that's been good for me. It's great because we had Stephen Bess on there, and he was the editor of the American magazines, and he's extensively traveled. But you have extensively traveled in the Asia FEMCA region, so it's good to have. But you also have traveled to. You've been to a DNC, you've been to Worlds, you've been to Neo races. You've like I said, traveled all around Australia, all around Asia. So just so people know, you aren't some guy who just stays in his region. Like, you've traveled the world for RC.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because Australia is actually literally in the middle of nowhere. You don't really hear much about what's going on down under, right? So, it's a bit of a shame that the magazine is no longer with this and running, but there's the racing down in Australia is still live and strong, and I think we've got a great competition down here. It's just we've got to travel a really long way to get to any of the major races, and it's something that we would like to do more often. Obviously, the current situation is not allowing that, but when the borders open again, we're definitely keen to get on a plane and get back overseas.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. Myself, now that we have JQ races there, and I met the Dexters at RCGP, and I was amazed at just mostly Aaron and Ben. Ben was good too, but I was utterly amazed at like Aaron came there and he raced JBRL. He went to a couple of club races. He came to California and duked it out with SoCal's best and held his own. Like,
Yeah.
he finished third at RCGP. He did well at JBRL. And you guys have, and he's like, I would say third fastest in Australia, because you have
man,
Kyle
like,
McBride.
Yeah, Carl and Alex are probably dueling it out at the moment. Both, exceptional drivers. But yeah, Dexter, he's come along a long way, man.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to race with him for probably a year now, because everything that's gone on. But like he was super fast last time I raced him. So it's going to be pretty cool. Like when we get all back together, even in Australia, because we're all separated by a big distance in Australia, so we don't even get to race too often. So I mean, if you compare it, Australia's about as wide as America is. Pretty much. From East Coast to West Coast, it's it's a bit of a trip to get from one side to the other.
Yeah, and a name that we're gonna say a lot in our conversations is Alex Bernard Zac. I've said it quite a few times on this podcast. This young man, nobody knows about him outside of Australia, but I believe he's faster than Kyle McBride, and I believe Kyle McBride is extremely talented. Yes, he has to work harder. I believe he has to work harder. He should be. No offense, he should be out of Australia traveling and doing. He should have been doing this years ago. I've said this many times. But Alex is extremely talented, and he's taking it to him. And I would like to see him start traveling when things are better. Hopefully, start traveling more and getting his name out there, because people are going to be amazed at what this young man can do.
And that's the difficult part at the moment, because he can't go and race against the top drivers, and that's what he needs to do if he wants to get to that next level. Like, he doesn't really have the competition. Like, he races every fortnight to nearly every week in Australia. But, he needs to be racing against the good competition in Europe and the States. Like, that's how he's going to get to that next level. And there's no question that he's got the potential. I mean, he's 18 years old, and, like the raw pace that he's got is exceptional. So he just needs to get over there and do it once the borders open.
I agree, man. I agree. I'm looking forward to seeing his journey. He's young. He drives AE. Like, he's like, you guys kept telling me about him, but now I'm seeing it, and I'm looking at his laps, and I'm like, this guy he's the truth. So it's amazing the talent that's coming out of I want to say a very, compared to the rest of the regions, obviously Europe and Asia and America, Australia is a very small region for RC, but it's got a deep history. It's been racing for a long. You guys were racing for a long time. 10 scale as well, and there's been plenty of fast individuals to come out of Australia, and it looks good. Like, you guys have a healthy, even you where you are, because another great thing about you is, and we're going to talk about this on the thought of the week, but you are very involved in your club, which is Pine. What's the club called again?
It's Pine Hills Dirt Racing is the club, yeah.
Right, and I mean, I've had people ask me to get more people that run clubs, because I know clubs aren't really a big thing in America, big in Europe, big in other countries, but I think what you guys are doing there is people should copy, because it is a shining example of what a club track should be, how it's run. You guys' numbers have improved greatly as just getting new people in and doing more club racing. So kudos to you guys. We will talk about that more. All right. But you can touch on it a little bit real quick.
Yeah, I mean, that's the club that I started when I first started racing. And it's gone through some ups and downs, and the biggest thing that's changed in the club is the surface. I mean, if you've got the best facilities in the world, but your surface is terrible, people just aren't going to race there. So, your surface is going to make or break your track or your facility or your club or whatever you want to call it. And we're lucky now that we've found something that is really like made the track and the surface absolutely awesome. Like, it's transformed it, and the numbers are demonstrating that. Like, probably 18 months ago, we were getting probably 5 or 6 to a club day. And now we're getting, regularly, upwards of 50 plus. So
Yeah, that's good. That's amazing.
It's been a good turnaround, and now we're at this position that I think it's only going to grow the numbers further, because people turn up and they see that there's lots of people involved, and but we've got to do quite a few things now just to make sure that it's enjoyable for everyone, because you start getting big numbers and then the day gets longer and people don't enjoy it as much. They're going to go home tired. Mm-hmm. So as much as JQ said it over and over again, we want to try and get as much racing in as little of part of our day as possible, right? So
as Adam
said, I mean, that's a hard thing to actually say that really fast, right? Yeah. But that is what we're trying to do. And we've tried a few different formats and we're still mixing it up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just having sort of schedules and time frames and calculators to work out if you're doing different styles of formats, how long it's going to go in the day, and trying to make sure that it stays within a reasonable time frame. So, people aren't leaving the track tired and they can go home and have dinner and go and have a beer or something. And then they leave the track in a happy state, right? Yes. You don't want them going home going, oh man, I'm so exhausted from racing. I don't want to go do that again.
Yeah, I agree, man. This is my motto. I know you guys don't really have this in Australia, but we need to use these bigger races that we have to promote RC, to get people into it. And the club racing scene is where people learn and enjoy it. And you know what I mean? Just get to enjoy what they're doing and learn, because they have people like you. I mean, even you had you released a pamphlet, which I thought was really awesome. I believe it was a pamphlet. Was it? I think it was about the basics, or like just for a new person getting in, what they can do and what, like, to help them out. I believe that's what it was, right?
Yeah. So we called it a racing guide, and the amount of new people that would come to the track and they go, oh, I never knew this was going on. What's this all about? And you'd answer the same questions over and over again. And, it's pretty daunting for a new person, right? They turn up and they go, I don't know what car I need to get, what servos, engines, electronics, batteries, chargers, like the list of different things that you need to get. It's not like you just go and buy one package. Mm-hmm. You actually go and buy all these separate components. So people need a guide, so they go and buy the right equipment from the start.
Yes.
And then really just information around, what the facilities are, what racing schedule is, what the calendar is for the year, so they know when they can come and race. Right down to basics to, how you should be setting up your engine and installing it, making sure you got rubber bands on the carby. It's just a big sort of guide that they can actually read through.
We had our first Australianism, a carburetor, people. Just in case you didn't notice, I caught onto that. People,
you haven't heard of a carby, man?
A carburetor.
Come on, man. Who's saying carburetor? Like that's way too long, man.
Oh, I just say carb, but I've never heard carby. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, so the guide's been pretty good, and it's just something that you can just give people when they first turn up. And once I've started doing it and promoting it, the people that have been turning up to the track have actually read the guide, and they're turning up with the right gear from the start. And it's just made a big difference to them starting off and on the right step, opposed to going out and buying something that's junk and having difficulties from the start, So
yeah, there are tracks in America that are doing positive things like that too. A Mark Moon, and I'm not sure which track it is in Georgia, but they have they're really pushing for newbies to come in, and they have signs that say, hey, don't be afraid to ask questions. We're here to help everybody. You know what I mean? Because some people... Yeah. So I need to...
100%. Yeah. What we've been doing, we have a regular Wednesday practice session. And, it's not racing. It's just come down and you can drive on the track for as many laps as you want to do. And, we'll have the barbecue going, have drinks and stuff there. And I won't even really take my car down in most instances. You're just going down there to just help people out. And they just need that little bit of a step when they first turn up. You give them a welcome and bring them into the club. And then they stay around. They don't just come and do one run for one day and then you never see them again. you give them a good experience to start with, man, and they all keep coming back, and then the numbers grow, and they say, oh, you know, they tell their friend that this is a really welcoming place, and then all of a sudden, you know, you've got something that's growing and not declining.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And we're gonna go into your permanent track and surface when we talk about because I think that's important too. I think this is something when you come on, I think we kind of have to talk about is your track and how it's going. Because I think, like I said, this is just a great example for everybody around the world. I'm not saying everybody can do this, but it's definitely some things that can be taken from what you guys are doing to help improve their current tracks. So good stuff. Zac, you know what? It's time to pay some bills and get into some of the RC news. We don't have much to talk about, but yeah, you know, it's time for the Manscaped RC news. Zac, do you Manscape? I get to do this with somebody new, so this is fun. You know, this part of the podcast is brought to you by Manscaped.com. This is the one-stop shop for all of our family jewel grooming needs. You know, I like to say,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. You cut through the jungle to find your manhood, and as my wife says, it makes it look bigger too. So, you know, we have this Lawnmower 3.0. It's a waterproof LED light razor with replaceable blades that you use, and it's supposed to not nick your nuts, because I don't know if you've ever shaved on there and nicked your nuts, but it's definitely not something you want to do because it hurts and it kind of puts you out of commission for a couple of weeks. So your wife won't be happy, or your girlfriend or a significant other will not be happy, and you won't be happy. So Manscaped has this cool kit that comes with the Beluga underwear, which I think is absolutely great. A ball deodorant and spritzer, which I actually still have. I've been using it. Keeps just things nice and fresh on there. Nice. It's a nice musky smell. That's the best way I can describe it. And this lotion that you can use like for after you shave and all that stuff. And you buy replaceable blades. But I also use this for my beard. It has a great charger port. You know what? They sponsor the podcast. If you guys are into this type of stuff, make your wife happy. Or maybe your wife might want one, but you could go to www.manscaped.com, use the promo code NONAME in all caps, and you will save 20% off your order as well as free shipping. Zac, get into the manscaping, man. We got to cut through the jungle and find the manhood. So,
yeah, man, I'll tell the missus.
Thank you to Manscaped for the support. We don't have much news going on this week, Zac, but we did have the main race I want to talk about this week was the Thunder Alley race, which we might as well say this was the DNC warm-up race because we kind of talked about it in private. We went there, and I'm just shocked. Absolutely. I mean, we're going to talk more about this in our DNC preview, but this is the warm-up race. We haven't had a race like this for DNC in a long time because there hasn't been at a permanent track. Well, Fur Farm was a permanent track, but, you know, not like this. Not like what we're seeing right here. People are able to get to the track, know the surface. Well, people like Drake know the surface. Anyway, this is his home track.
Well, why wasn't everyone there? I don't understand. Like, this is an opportunity to go and cut laps and get everything sorted before the meet, and what, they're not all there? I don't understand.
Well,
why only had half the pros there.
Well, it didn't have no pros there. The only pros there were Rivkin and Drake. Really, if we're talking about top pros, and but what it was, all the other pros were at the INS race at Hobbyplex, so they were all racing 10 scale. So,
talking about 10 scale, man. Shit.
Well, what it is, these guys have to. What it is, they have to. There was supposed to be a DNC warm up 2 weeks ago, but it got snowed out. So that's what they were planning to go to. But I think this has messed up a lot of these teams' strategy. I mean, look at TLR. They missed SIC, did CRC, and their plan was to do DNC warm-up. And now, like, I got video of Cavallari there on a Monday night after JBRL because I just think he was not happy with his performance there. But that's good. That's good to see that he's at the track. Dunford was there, and they were just, I think, they're still trying to get that platform for him figured out, man.
Yeah, the time that I went over to DNC, we went over and we had a couple of days at Thunder Alley before we drove down to Arizona. That was when it was in Arizona at the time, and yeah, Cav was there and he was doing lots of testing with the Associated back in that day. And he was not happy with that car. Like, I don't know if you remember, they tried to copy the Kosho back in the day. And like, he was going off his tree at his dad. Like, I cannot drive this car. This car's terrible. So maybe it's deja vu, but I don't know. I thought the Losi didn't look too bad. I'm sure they'll get it sorted.
Well, they got this weekend coming up. I would want all my guys there this weekend. I don't know what the deal is if you can practice this weekend, but I think everybody's going to do the palm. Oh, I'm just missing all this. We'll talk about it more on the DNC stuff. But Drake, man, Drake just caught up on everybody here. And this is something that I want to say. And he's going to be somebody to watch going into this race because people don't understand this is Adam Drake's backyard. He has a key to this track. He knows everything about this track. I can see Drake, and so in one of these classes, e-buggy, nitro buggy, or pro e-buggy, if he runs it, being on the podium, and at least one of, and not the 5-man podium, a 3-man podium on at least one of these races, and not 40 plus. If he races 40 plus, he'll win that, obviously. But it's interesting to see. And I just wanted to say something that I have to say, Greg Degani, holy shit. He has not raced for 1 year since last DNC 2020, and it was shitty for him. He hated it. I have had him complaining for the last month and a half about diff gears, and he's rebuilding his whole new JQ car because he needs this. And every time I talked to him was about diff gears. And I mean, I will be honest with you, a lot of people don't give Greg his credit, but this old guy still can go out there. He races against everybody in that 40-plus races regularly. And he went out there and beat them. He beat them all. I think people always say Greg got lucky and won his world championship. Yes, luck is a part of it. But this man, like, he's 43 years old, doesn't race for a year, and still beats people that he shouldn't even be touching after not racing for a year. So good shout out. I have to give Degani his props on that one.
Yeah, and he's I did read his post, and I liked how he commented that he was running like $179 engine or something like that.
Yeah, SH engine.
Yeah.
He loves this.
Well,
this is what
we're actually been running the SH engines in the new Ignite gas truck. And they're like super cheap on A-Main. And like the engines are good. So
too.
Yeah. No,
let's see the shirt. Stand up, shoot up a little bit. Show the Ignite shirts. Yeah, man.
Repping.
Chad Park has made some great kits, man. You guys have had your fun with them. I see a lot of people having them. Greg, this is what I just think this is super impressive. Out of everything that happened, like Drake won and all that type of stuff, yes, I'm not surprised about that. I'm a bit surprised about Cavs finish, but Degani go in there, beating like beating Ronda Drake, beating Saxton. Like, okay, maybe Saxton doesn't race as much as those guys, but he definitely drives a lot more than Greg. So he's
but Saxton's pretty good, man, on a wheel, eh? Like on his day, he can drive pretty good. So about time Degani did something with himself. So that's good.
People don't understand. He has not raced since DNC 2020, and he did not enjoy himself. So congratulations, JBRL Thunder Alley. I'm not. Like it's another JBR race, but what made this exciting was that it's actually at the track where DNC is going to be next weekend. So kudos to the people that made the trip to there. I shout out Spencer Rivkin and Jackson Brunson. They probably, I think Rivkin wants to make an A-Main this year. So he's in hard work. And the other race was the INS, which is the Indoor Winter Nationals held by JBRL, I think it is. It was held at Hobbyplex, which is an indoor track in America. It's also an 8-scale track. This is Tebow's kryptonite track. This is where Tebow goes to race 8-scale and he gets beat.
Right.
Legitimately beat.
That was the track with like the blue infield and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. I did see some video of that. It looked pretty good.
Yes.
Got some rhythm section back in there again. Like a lot of the tracks, I don't know, they just seem to be like really open and flowing, and there just doesn't seem to be the slow technicality like they used to. Mm-hmm. And it just looked like there was a little bit more slow technicality on this track. It was good to see that style of track again, because you know, sometimes you're watching that off-road open 10 scale stuff, and it just, you know, they just can't have the close racing because it's just so fast and open. I think that it's good to see some sort of older style supercross tracks again.
Yes. It's good to see. And I just want to touch on this because a lot of pro guys went to this. So Dakota Fan, he completely dominated. TQ'd four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive, won both A1s and A2s and sat out both A3s. Mayfield was second in two-wheel drive. It looks like these are these two-wheel drive. Yeah, these are two-wheel drive. Aiden Horn, he's a young guy we have to watch out for in America. He's coming. He's now factory 8 scale, 1 AE from factory tracks. He was a part of that factory track. I don't know if you heard me talk about it. Factory tracks, they kind of raise young guys to be racers, and he's a product of that. And I believe Ronnefalk was a part of that. I believe Horn and Ronnefalk, who came fourth, are living together and doing the RC Dream. They're actually on their way to being. These are kids. These are young men that I think we are going to see really do take it to some of these guys this year. And at DNC, Blake Champlin, Brock's brother, who's still running Associated, 8th. Mason Fuller. I just want to say real quick, shout out to Mason Fuller and his dad. I don't know if his father passed away or is not doing too well. I saw some posts, so condolences to them. And I hope if his father's, you know, I'm just not too sure what's going on with that, but I saw this morning before and Lee Setzer, just this race had all these guys from Seth Van Dalen 10th. This is his home track too. So this was stacked, but I guess these guys have to go to this. This is on the schedule. But I'm like, I want Seth Van Dalen, I want Aiden Horn, I want Fend and Mayfield, Renner Connect. I want these guys at JBRO this past week. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty big race. I just, maybe the hype has just not been there this year, but yeah, I'm sure the race is going to be good. But you know, these guys can race on anything, right? Like every race that Mayfield's going to, he's at the pointy end. It's just, I know, man, he is on another level at the moment. Hey,
I know. I think the only person that can outright. And I know I'm going to swing off his nuts a little bit, but I think the only person that could come right now and beat Mayfield anywhere, anytime, any place, is David Ronnefalk. Even though he hasn't raced for a year, I think he can still come out and beat anybody, any one of these guys, anytime, anywhere, any place. Because he's
he's got the confidence, man. Like he is going there knowing that he can put it to him. So, you know, that's half the battle in RC. It's all in the head in some cases when you're at this level. So
I was teasing him. I was like, I know you're going to be watching DNC from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. And
man, he so wants to be there.
And just imagine you being there racing, and you're going to look at everything, and you're going to be like, I would have done this differently, and I would have done this differently. But maybe he comes on later to talk about that. You know, this could have been like, well, he could have been 3-time world DNC champion in 2020 had it not been for the 2019 and that bloody light pole that took him out. But that's racing, you know, so that's unfortunate with the Viking, and hopefully he comes on to talk about it a little bit more. So INS race was full 10 scale. I guess the companies are just like, hey, we'll have people, we got a week, we'll go out there this weekend and do the typical DNC thing that most people do. And I really don't have any more RC news. There's not much going on, and I refuse to talk about colored washers and hoodie knives and stuff like that. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's terrible, man.
I just refuse to do that.
You
can send that to the other news sites. I'm not going to promote that type of stuff unless it's something cool. Like I did see some pistons, the VRP pistons that came out, super tuner pistons. But I kind of want to ask JQ or somebody about that who's used them. All right, man. You know what, dude? We have to go on to the RC, the Sun City RC thought of the day, man. So we're gonna talk about. This is funny because this is actually sponsored by a track, And we're going to talk about tracks on this and track surfaces. So the RC Thought of the Week is brought to you by Sun City RC Raceway, home of El Paso's world-famous, true, old-school, motocross-inspired 8-skill off-road track. From handicap accessibility and covered pits to drop gate starts, this world-class facility has everything needed to give you the professional feel with the amazing country views to match. SCRC has 4 acres of parking with plenty of room for RVs, trailers, and plenty of lights so the racing can carry on into the night, and as well in your pits with well-lit pit areas. SCRC is privately owned by the Showers family, Joey, awesome dude, Christian, awesome, and Corbin. And they have over 20 years of experience in the RC business. They even own their own equipment so they can do frequent track changes because, you know, they like to do frequent track changes. And they build one-off tracks for bigger races when they have a bigger race. I believe they have the TNR race coming up. You can follow them on Facebook under Sun City RC Raceway. And thank you, Sun City RC Raceway, for bringing you the RC Thought of the Week. And Zach, this is pretty counterproductive because this is Sun City RC Raceway. It's a privately owned track, by the way. It's owned by the Shawels family, so it is run for profit, but it doesn't need profit to stay afloat because they own the land and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. They do like to do frequent track changes, which is an American thing. I get that. Yeah. I understand that. Yeah. But what you guys are doing there in Australia is completely different. You have a permanent, I would say permanent track. You can make small changes. But it's the surface we can mix it up a bit. The surface is what we want to talk about. And I think this is what we can, if people can do this in America, would make a difference. Or even if you have a track and you want to have a better surface. So let's talk about your surface at the Pine Hills RC Raceway. I think I said that right. Yeah,
no, that's right. So it's a biodegradable vegetable oil. So like if you were to find a material safety data sheet, for instance, it's going to tell you that the substance is non-hazardous. It's you consume it. It's edible, right? So it's what you cook your food in. So it's not a crude oil. You're not putting something on the surface that is going to damage the ground. And like we've put it down, and like there's some sections of the track which we haven't run for a long time, and the grass eventually does grow back over it, and it breaks back down again. But, for the tracks that you maintain with rollers and that sort of thing, it's pretty good. Like it really cuts down the maintenance and like comparable probably to like a Blue Groove feel, but without the tire wear. You get a good Blue Groove in Australia on like some sort of pure clay tracks, and the tire wear can be quite bad. Like you've really got to be on an S2 or a really hard compound, and you'd probably be difficult to get 1 hour out of a set of tires, and they're bald. Which when you're trying to look at having sustainable club racing for people that are starting out, you want to have something that's going to be consistent and cheap and easy, and they're not going to get scared away straight away. So that's definitely what we've found with this surface. It does take a little bit to prepare, but it's definitely gotten easier. You guys
prepare the surface. So you build the track, and then you till it up. You till up the upper layer, the top layer, or how does it work?
No, so we're pretty lucky. We've got 2 rollers, like quite large rollers that we sit on and drive around. So we roll the track and pack it in pretty hard, and then we'd generally soak the track and let the track settle, and then keep the moisture in the dirt, and then we've just pretty much just got a transfer pump. We'll have the oil in like 1,000-litre pod containers, and we pump it directly onto the surface. Making sure the track has got a bit of moisture because you don't want the surface to have cracks and stuff in it. And then you just broom it around on the surface, and then you can put the rollers straight back on it, and you're rolling the surface with the oil on the top layer, and you're actually pushing the oil into the dirt with the rollers, and the dirt doesn't pull up or stick to the rollers because it's covered in slippery oil. So you end up like getting a really nice polished finish on the surface. And then you generally need to leave the surface for sort of probably about 2 weeks just to let it all sort of sink in. And then what we've been doing recently is we'll just get sort of like dry dirt that hasn't got oil on it. At this stage, it's been sitting on the surface for 2 weeks, and it's sunk mostly into the surface. And then we'll just broom dry dirt around on the surface and then roll the track again. And that is really it. And then the surface is pretty good for about a year.
So you
under
only have
those
to do
conditions.
it once a year, to treat it once a year with oil.
That's like a major treatment. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. If you do a track change though, you change it as well, correct?
Yeah. So the oil is actually only really sitting in like the top maybe 5 mil of the dirt. So we've got pretty pure clay. Like if you didn't put oil on, like it's just got no grip whatsoever.
Right.
And it, like we used to run it and it would just blow out, and you'd have to put thousands of liters of water in it and it would still blow out. And then like it was good to start with, and then because it's blown out, people are struggling to make jump sections, and if they're just starting out, they just leave, mate. They just don't come back and you've got to go and fix the track after every club day to get it back into a state that people feel like they can drive around and make the jump sections properly, because not everyone is, quite good at driving an RC car from the get-go. So that's where with, the oiled surface, the track stays pretty consistent. It doesn't break up. And,
if
it
you
can
break
come
up
back
anywhere at all, does any part get broken up?
Well, I mean, with our dirt, it does a little bit, but we've got rollers, so we just roll it back again, and it's like a brand new track. So like most of our maintenance is typically just rolling the surface again. It's not like you're going to form large potholes. There might be a few small chips here or there, but once you're rolling it, it just pushes it all flat again.
Right. What I mean is like you don't get the broken parts and then get the dust coming up and losing grip at certain points, or
I mean, we blow the track, but like if we're hosting a race day, we're not even blowing the track through the day. It's pretty consistent the whole day, and you don't get that sort of slippery, dusty surface, with sections blowing out. That doesn't seem to happen. So.
And this isn't an old thing. This isn't a new thing. Sorry. They've been doing it in England for very long, mainly because it just rains so much. How does
exactly?
When it rains, how quick can you guys be back racing? If it rained, had a shower, like how long do you just swap? Like we just blow it off or brush off the dirt?
Yeah, just blow it. You just blow it off. That's right. Broom will blow the water off. Like our track's pretty elevated, so. We've got piping, and you sort of just sweep towards the piping, and then it drains off. And then we've just got a heap of blowers. As long as you get the moisture back off the surface, like it's quite slippery if it's got some moisture on it. But like we had a pretty big downpour the other day. We just had a few people out there on brooms and broomed it off, and we were back racing again. Probably 15, 20 minutes after it rained. And like it was pretty heavy rain. And the cars were coming off like perfectly clean. Like if you had a normal clay track, people would be grabbing buckets and brushes, and their tires would be all clogged up. So, from that standpoint, like I'll do a club day now, and like I'm 10 minutes on the compressor or 5 minutes on the compressor, and the thing looks like a brand new car.
Yeah.
And so like my maintenance now is so minimal compared to what it used to be.
And that's good for newbies too. Newbies as well, because they can spend less time maintenance. Well, obviously they have to learn great maintenance, but you know what I mean? Just like when you have to completely strip your car, change all the bearings because they're so gritty and stuff like that, becomes a pain in the ass. Tire wear and track changes. So one thing you mentioned is that tires last a long time, and there's a specific tire, I believe you run her, that works great, or how does it work?
So most of the drivers are probably on an M3 slide lock or like a blue rehab. It's those two tires seem to be pretty comparable. So in a lot of ways, because we've controlled the surface, we've controlled the tire as well. Because there's not like a standout. Well, there is a standout tire in each manufacturer, so it's not like everyone's needing lots of different compounds and lots of different tread patterns. So when people turn up, you can say, well, everyone's running this tire and this compound, and that compound will work from 7 in the morning until 10 p.m. at night. You know, so
that's perfect. How many like if you was having a race there, how long would a set of tires, like how many sets of tires would you take to race? If you just said, okay, I want to qualifying tires. Like, you know how people get, we have these one runs, we want the best this. I kind of just want to go there and just go, all right, this tire works. I need one for qualifying and maybe one for my main.
I think that would probably be the extent of it. Especially like with new tires, if they got a little bit of an edge on it, the grip can be a little bit aggressive. So you kind of want tires that have had, probably 10 minutes of running on them. And then they're pretty good for about 2 hours after that. So,
and then I'm sure you can use these to go out and practice as well later. Like your race tires. Definitely. It's kind of like how I did it back in the day when, like, I always say we need to go back to old school and learn me. I know that's not coming back. Maybe we'll have some of that, but it was back like you ran crime fighters, you ran crime fighters, you used a set for qualifying, then you put a brand new set on for your main, and then the next week you use that same set for maybe practice or your kind of like that, the following race. Yeah. And I think what you guys are doing with the oil, you don't have spec tire, but you have control tire. So like you said, which tire works. You don't need 5 different sets of compounds. You need one compound, one tread pattern, maybe 2 sets of tires for a race day. Saves you so much money. Makes it so much easier for the new person to just concentrate
so much easier
driving.
Absolutely. Yeah, and some of the drivers who have started at our club over the last year have gone to other tracks, and they are just blown away at the complexity of choosing the right tire and compound now on just a real base natural dirt. They really got thrown for 6 just at how like that is such a large component of the racing now to be fast. A lot of the times, you've got to be a tire scientist to go quick. If you get the right tire in natural dirt, it can make such a difference. While when the track is a little bit more controlled, it's more about car setup and driver ability, in my opinion, than, you can have the best driver out there, but if they're not on the perfect tire on a natural clay track, then they're probably going to struggle to be at the pointy end now with the competition the way it is.
I agree. I like that. And just how big is your track? Like, what are you guys' lap times? And I would say, what's the length of it in meters or feet? Do you know?
I don't know in meters. A quick lap on our the largest layout that we've got is about the 39-second mark. Okay. So
you have 2 tracks in one. You have a short version and a long version, which I think is good. Yeah,
we've actually got like 7 to 8 different layouts or something in the one track. So we've spent a lot of time like trying to build different jumps in different ways, so you can just move a pipe, and then you can have a different layout. So that way, while we've made a semi-permanent track, it can still be flexible. So like one club meet will run this layout, and then the next one will change it up a little bit. So people feel like they're getting a bit of variety, even though the track is staying the same.
That's pretty good. That's excellent, actually. And changes. What type, when you do make a change, what is it that you guys kind of do?
Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad now. I think now we've worked out the process of getting the oil into the dirt, really putting the oil down and rolling it in. It seems to be the best method. Before we were putting it, like we would rebuild the track and then we'd just put the oil on and then we'd just like wait for weeks to try and get the thing to soak into the dirt. but now, yeah, like we'll just get like, typically we get a track bobcat, and yeah, I'll just rip up the track and build the new section. We'll give it a good soaking, and then yeah, you're putting the oil down on that day basically.
Nice, man. And how much oil do you use for a heavy layer of the whole track, do you think?
Well, now it's in the dirt. We don't really need much at all, right? So we could probably do like quite a heavy coating for about 500 liters for the whole track, right? But when we first did it, we were probably putting about 10,000 liters down. So
whoa, yeah.
And it's about 30 cents a liter, because it's used oil that we used cooking oil, right? So it was about $3,000, but like that investment's paid back,
right? Because it's in the dirt
so quickly. Yeah, it's done now.
Even if you had to move that track, I would try and ship that dirt out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you had maybe a little excavator with a flat blade bucket on it, you might be able to scrape that top layer off. Right. So it's a little bit tricky to probably peel up, but yeah, if you got the right equipment, I'm sure you could do it. Yeah.
Right. So the initial investment of putting 10,000 liters was expensive, but at 500 liters for a coat now, that's nothing. So you just have oil stashed on the premises now, like that.
Yeah, we just got it like a couple of 1,000-liter pod containers. But like, yeah, it's just such small amount of oil now, and like our track compared to, so there's another track in New South Wales, which is about 10 hours drive from where I am. Australia's really spread out. But their surface is like even better. So like we started with natural clay, right? But they had more like a road base style material. So it has a little bit of rock in it, sort of like a gray dirt, but it's taken the oil like so much better than what ours has done. And they don't even, like, their surface doesn't even chip or anything. It's like it's set now like concrete, but it still feels like similar to our grip level. It still like feels like a blue groove track, but like their maintenance is way less than us. So having a surface like you would imagine before, that their surface was probably the worst surface you'd ever want for an RC track.
Right.
But now it's actually probably the best surface if you put oil on it, right? So
when you walk on it, is it spongy, kind of?
A little bit, yeah. Ours definitely is. Theirs, because it's got a bit more rock in it, it's like bound together really well. So like theirs feels a bit harder than ours, for sure. And you can see, like, that's why if a car chassis slaps or something, like nothing's happening on the surface. Like it's
right.
Really
I was thinking of
solid.
that, like, you know, because dirt has some sort of give, and that helps. And, you know, like for hard landings, maybe you get it wrong and stuff like that. But it's definitely increased your club membership. What is it now predominantly? You guys had a race there this weekend, right? Or past weekend? Was it this weekend or last weekend?
Well, we've got like a interclub. So there's 3 clubs in our region. So we're calling this sort of the unofficial state championships, mainly because of COVID, and the sanctioning body doesn't really, want to do too much with the COVID situation at the moment. So we're doing lots of unofficial stuff. And I guess with the COVID, it's probably been a reset for the region that we needed, just to really get the region going again. And like the big focus on club racing and the regional racing has done wonders. And yeah, we've got a big race coming up at the end of this month. So that's going to be pretty good.
Awesome, man. I think I would like to see maybe some more American tracks go this way, like especially even just building a design where they can make more tracks in one instead of a complete and total rebuild. I know I like that about American tracks too, but I would like to see maybe they can get away with this. They got to be able to use this type of surface somewhere, somehow. And like you said, the dirt, it can still be in the dirt. They can still make their changes. It would just be, once you get this in your dirt, it kind of just stays there, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Like I said, a very great example of what you guys are going on there. What are you seeing mostly now? E-buggies or nitro buggies? coming in.
Yeah, e-buggies, man. They certainly look like it's just convenient, right? You can turn up. You don't need to organize a pit man or anything like that. And probably the one big difference we see now with the oil down is you're not having to water and blow the track all the time. So the days are actually getting shorter. So like the same program and another track is going to be at least an hour longer over a day, just you watering and blowing the track. We don't have that now. So, we can just roll through the program and make the heats a little bit longer, so people are getting more track time. So having those sort of benefits is pretty big, I think.
Yeah, we got a lot of flack, especially after last week's podcast about us hating e-buggy. I just want to make it known, I don't dislike e-buggy at all. I actually think it's great. In fact, I want to e-truggy, which will piss Zac off even more because he hates truggies. But I kind of said this to a guy the other day, and I know we shouldn't measure things on interest, but I said it's like this. E-buggy's growing. Yes, I like it. I hope more people run Nitro, but it's simple. The fuel nationals in America sells out in 10 minutes. You get 225 entries for Nitro buggy, and you get about the same for truggy. I said when the E-Nationals in America get 225 e-buggy entries, then I would say, and I think there should be an e-buggy worlds too. It should just be along with the worlds that we have now. But I think we might have a rant this week that you wanted to rant about too. So we'll be doing that in a short time. But Zac, thank you for sharing your information about your track. We're going to talk more about it because you have format changes, stuff like that. You're going to be, like I said, you're going to be rotating in, and we're going to just pick on different topics to talk about that you've experienced that we can always talk about. So I really wanted to talk about the oil surface on your track because it's something that I've been I see the results, and I think it's great.
Yeah, and the thing is that with these clubs, they can actually just do it in one corner of the track, right? So they don't need to go and make a big investment from the get-go. They can just go and put 500 liters down in one section of their track, and then just see how the dirt receives the oil, and I'm sure they'll be surprised at just how good it is. It's really transformed our club. So, but yeah, just taking a small section and putting it down, that's probably the first step, I think, to just trialing it out and seeing how it works with your surface.
Sweet. All right. Well, Zac, you know what? I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go do the Beach RC bench racing Q&A right now. Then I'm going to get you back on with the Viking, and we're going to talk a little bit about DNC later on. And we got to do a rant, you and I, too. So I'll hit you back up in a little bit, and we'll talk some DNC and do some ranting.
Yeah, man.
BeachRC.com, the racers' one-stop online hobby shop. Choose from all the popular brands and variety in stock with super fast shipping and great customer service. BeachRC.com still has the local hobby shop feel with all the benefits of the internet. BeachRC.com is the exclusive distributor for Ultimate Racing, JQ Racing, Pro Circuit Racing Tires, Nitro Lux Fuels, and Assault RC Performance products. So fill up your cart and check out at BeachRC.com today.
Welcome to the Beach RC Bench Racing Q&A. Beach RC is your one-stop shop for all your hobby shop needs. It is a brick-and-mortar hobby shop with a track. Brent and Lucas are busy. Brent's super busy right now. He's got the My RC Box Club going on. Check that out if you're into things like that. A subscription service where you get a box every month, a surprise box every month full of RC stuff. So check them out. Lucas is going to all these races. I mean, Beach RC is what, when you think of a hobby shop, that's what you think of. Like, it's cool. It's got a great bunch of product. You could go in there, spend hours looking around. It's got an awesome track, awesome people working there. And Beach and Brent put a lot of money back into the racing community, sponsor a lot of races, a lot of different things. So thank you to Beach RC for sponsoring this part of the podcast. Remember, guys, there is an affiliate link that is in the written description of this podcast. If you guys can use that, it greatly helps us as well as the podcast. So joining me this week, he's now working the middle shift. Thank you for filling in because JQ is at the track. It's hard to get him away from that track right now. I think he's probably living there. I'm not sure. But you know,
when he gets excited, it's no like talking him out of it.
I know, because I had him lined up to come on to do this, and we was gonna do some DNC talk, and it's like, man, I'm at the track. I was like, all right, cool.
No way he's at the track anymore. He
No,
just said that to get out of it.
probably, but I said that's cool, but I will need you next week because we're gonna be doing DNC lives and stuff like that, and I want you to come on and talk about it. So no problem. And then thank you, Max, you come on, and that's cool because you have the same knowledge as Joseph, and I want people to get used to hearing what you have to say. But we don't have much questions anyway, so let's start off. Do I want to start you off with like something that I know that's gonna trigger you? No, here's a setup question. No, we're gonna go setup question first.
Okay, let's start setup.
Tim Teddy built Maxwell. When is the best time to use sway bars in your car, and how firm do you want them? Well,
I'm pretty sure this is like a question for two-wheel drive.
Yeah,
I mean,
because I don't think I haven't seen 8-scale cars without sway bars. I mean, I used to run them.
I mean,
before.
I took it off at one race in Finland, like the front one, and Degani took his off at the Worlds. But
yes,
apart from that, like I don't think anyone ever runs 8-scale without sway bar. But okay, so should I answer this like
an
how
8-scale
to tune
question.
a sway bars? Yeah.
Yes.
Or should I? Okay, I'll ask. I'll answer this quickly for two-wheel drive. With two-wheel drive, what I've noticed is in dirt, you very rarely need sway bars. Most likely, you'll be better off without them in any condition on dirt. In carpet, you can. I mean, without sway bars, you'll always be all right. But if the track is like high speed and sort of quick transitions, sometimes you might get like a little bit more aggressive with the sway bars. But like in two-wheel drive, you have to just account for it with the setup. It's a preference question in my opinion. But for carpet, mostly people I think run the rear one, not as much the front one. I don't really know nowadays. I only run in Astro if I run two-wheel drive. But
Do
okay,
you run any
I'll answer.
on your Astro cars? Well, you haven't run 10 scale for a while, have you?
Well, last time I ran one in the rear, but it's like the thinnest one. I think it's not a huge difference, just a slight one. But okay, I'll answer this question from like 8-scale, 8-scale perspective. So, how I like to go with sway bars is if it's super tight, super low grip, most likely you'll be very well off with the super thin one in the front, and in the rear, it's sort of like you can tune it as you go. Like if you like the rear end to be more stiff, you can have like a thicker one. If you like the rear end like roll down more, you can have a thinner one. So you can it's the rear end is much more tunable in that sense. But then if the tracks are open, you obviously have to go a little bit thicker in the front, because with the thin one, the front end is not so precise. It's sort of like leaning around much more. So with the thick one, you have the front end kind of like stuck. So sometimes with the thicker front sway bar, you might actually have more steering because the front end is more like precise and it does what you like. When you steer, it steers immediately. So keep that in mind. And also in high grip, sometimes when you go too stiff, the car actually starts to be very hard to drive. So those are some things to keep in mind. But one thing also I think a lot of people don't understand is when you run the rear hub really far back, what it does, it stiffens up the rear quite a lot, because the support, like the tires support the weight of the car. The further back the tires are, and when you accelerate, the more support you have. So with a shorter shorter wheelbase, so you have the hubs front. When you have the hubs all the way front, there isn't much support, so you really need to run a much thicker sway bar. So if you, for example, with Associated, my buddy runs the hubs all the way forward. He runs 2.8 sway bars, and his car rolls around much more than mine, and I run 2.4 or 5, and I run the hubs like middle or almost all the way to the back. So like it's like you have to take that into account, and many people don't really realize it. If you run the hubs all the way back, you can almost run no sway bars in the rear. It's actually pretty crazy. It's a huge difference.
Because it just stiffens up the whole geometry, right?
Yeah, you can think of it like like if you have something like this, and then like you have a support from here, and the whole thing is pushed like this. It has much more support when it's all the way back.
Like if you sport it from here, it's all the
Yeah.
time gonna do this. That's pretty much like if you move the hubs forward, you're gonna have that effect on it. And the sway bar
Interesting.
is sort of doing the same thing, especially on power.
Okay. You know what? I did not know that about the wheelbase thing. That's pretty
Yeah,
interesting, to be
that's
honest.
I think that's the biggest deal about wheelbase. Some people talk about the drive shaft angle, but I
Mhm.
think the actual sort of weight balance of the car or the support of the rear wheels compared to the center of gravity, I think that's a much bigger deal than actually the drive shaft angle.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
Good answer. We have an Instagram question from E Burns. He wants to know, why do pillow balls work so well on truggies but not on buggies? Well, I don't know. They seem to work on buggies too.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
Mugen's ran them for a
I mean,
long time.
isn't Tekno one of the best truggies, and he has a C hub?
Yes.
Yeah, and Tekno is also like 20 centimeters wider than any other druggie out there.
I
I
don't
think it's
know.
like I think I think the Tekno druggie is like 450 wide, and the associated is like 410.
Okay. I don't know
So
if they drive different. I
I
mean, I
mean,
have a pillow ball truggy.
yeah, I don't think I think the premise of this question is kind of weird because I think
Yeah.
pillow balls work really well on buggies as well. I mean, also like I think if people watch JK's videos, you can see from the video like the C hub design he has. It's pretty much identical to any pillow ball car. So you can do
Mhm.
like having a C hub or a pillow ball is no difference if the geometry is the same. So
Mm.
I think people need to sort of understand that. They just see,
Right.
oh,
That
this is a
makes
pillow
sense.
ball, but it might be like the same car. Who knows?
Right.
If you look at it like precisely,
Maybe
obviously, then you know. But
maybe the truggy being wider, longer, more time. Look, man, truggies are just easier to drive. Let's just be
yeah.
honest.
But
It's
okay. I'm gonna give an answer to this that sort of I mean I'm not gonna answer this question. This
mhm.
answer is gonna and not answer this question, but it's gonna explain a whole lot more.
Okay.
The manufacturers make a buggy that works. They spend time on it and then like they test it out, that pro drivers give like feedback. Then they release the buggy. Then next year they make some longer arms and release a truggy. That's how it works.
They put some
Tekno is
work
the
into
only
truggy.
brand. No, tell me one brand apart from Tekno and maybe HB who have put any effort into truggy.
Okay. Associated.
No. Have you looked at the car? This the only difference with the car is the gear ratio, longer arms, everything. That's the whole difference. And I mean, it works. It's one of the best truggies out there, no doubt about it. But
Mhm.
it's not like there's a huge development going on.
Well, because it's all right. People get upset when we say this. There's
No, but
just
that's
no
just the
big.
facts. I'm
There's
sorry.
no
I'm sorry that
market for.
facts hurt your feelings.
I know people got a little upset about our about you bashing e-buggy the other day.
Yeah.
But we're not bashing e-buggy like you said. It's just
Yeah, it's
I love all
yeah.
my children. I just love Nitro more. That's what you said
Yeah.
on the patron only podcast we did the other day.
Yeah. And I don't hate Truggy either. I just don't think it's should be a pro class because the manufacturers don't take it as a pro class. That's like the thing.
Well, I think people get a little upset. They're like, well, you guys don't want to promote e-buggy and stuff like that. Well, this is what I said to my mate. I said, I think e-buggy should have a worlds. It should be right along
Yeah,
with the
definitely.
Nitro Buggy
Yes.
Worlds. But I said this. I said when the e-nationals in America gets 225 e-buggies there, then you guys can come talk to me. But right now, the few nationals because it's just
Yeah.
people just prefer that. Like, no offense, e-buggy is good for people getting in, but I think with
Oh
the
yeah.
e-buggy, they want the
Yes.
classes open, sportsmen open, that type
Yeah.
of stuff. So
E-buggy is the best like open a class for 8-scale racing. Best
I
from
agree.
any
I
8-scale
agree.
class.
It's all about e-truggy for me from now on anyway. So that's
yeah, but you're old and your other hand doesn't work.
exactly. So I have all the excuses in the world to run
Okay,
e-truggy.
I think the great way to explain this is, do you think the Formula E world champion is anywhere near the Formula 1 world champion?
No, of course not.
Yeah, and no one probably thinks the Formula E champion is in anywhere close to Formula One. And this
We are
is
not
why,
dissing e-buggy people. We believe
yeah,
e-buggy should be a world's
yeah, I do too. Yeah,
class.
definitely. Yes. And they
We're just
already
trying to
have
say,
Euros and everything. We're just saying Nitro is the glory.
and it's under attack.
And it's a
Start
fact.
in Europe.
Well, kind of, but I saw Elliot Budge running with 12% fuel and it looked normal. So I don't know what the manufacturer. Yeah, I mean, the comment I read about the manufacturer.
I know what they did. I bet you they put a different head in their.
No, they said Frederica was commenting that they didn't change anything, which is crazy. I mean, I believe her. She usually is fine. I mean, I don't believe them to lie. They are pretty good people.
Man, my buddy.
They're
I'm
not the
not
type
saying
to
that.
lie.
They're probably just not letting people know. I know my buddy who runs GT here, or ran GT here, was running 16% to get 7-minute qualifiers, and he made his own fuel. That's how deep he went, because he was telling me.
Yeah, maybe like if he wanted to optimize it, yeah, obviously you need to change something. But I think like the video looked fine. It looked like a normal 8-scale car. So I mean, I don't know.
Was it against other 8-scale cars?
Well, I don't know. It looked like Boots driving. So I mean, I don't know. He said the lap times were the same, which I kind of doubt. But I mean, it looked fine. So I don't really know what the fuss is about. Like even like the air fuel leader, like there was the comment from the manufacturer, and the guy said like, "Oh, everything is gonna go to shit," and I don't know. It doesn't look like it. So maybe my video was completely useless.
No, it wasn't useless because people should be worried about this. Because
yeah, and we should talk about this a lot more.
I agree. Nitro is under attack, man, and people's like, well,
and I mean, kind of for a reason too. Like, if you think like 200 years ago, people were driving horses on the road and racing horses everywhere. Now we have cars. The world evolves, you know.
Yes. Well, that's what they say about e-buggy is so e-buggy this, and we can do battery changes and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with all that, but you don't.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I mean,
that's
if
fine.
anything
e-buggy race, I'm fine with that.
Huh? Yeah, anything you can do to make e-buggy better is good, and I'm all for it.
Can we make noises? Can we put speakers in there, because that's what, and smoke emitters, because that's what I miss.
I don't know. I mean, that's cool, but do we really need this smoke and the noise?
I don't know. And we need the lightning fast. Nothing says awesome when you give it a def rev over a jump, like. And you jump and your nose down like this, and you're like, hey, like, please come back up. And when you hear your engine do that. Okay, all right. We are not against e-buggy people. And you know what? Happy birthday to my boy Kevin LaChapelle and Richard Ponder. I forgot to say this earlier in the podcast. Happy birthday to you guys. It was this week. Probably missed some other birthdays. All right, next question. Anthony Whiteside. I love the Australians. Do we really need so many subclasses? Like, surely folks would get more track time if we had, say, open and novice at major races, have a pro class of the top 15 or whatever. Well, I don't know. I thought that might
talk about beating a dead horse.
Yeah, but it's true what he's saying. But
it's like we've talked about it so many times.
I know.
And I don't know. People don't seem to like everyone agrees with us. But then they go to a big race and they enter 3 classes, and I don't know.
I don't know what to do about that, man. I mean, people are going to DNC, and I'm sure they're going to enter 3 classes. And by the way, it's like DNC is going to have a bridge, by the way.
Bridge?
It looks
it depends what kind of bridge. They had bridge when I went there.
Yes.
Bridges are fine when they're done.
I don't know, Anthony, man. I mean, I'm all for. It's just not gonna. I don't see it going away. It's especially on a club level. It's needed to get entries, to get money to support the club. I'm all for that. Learning.
Not only that, on club level, you need because there's usually maybe 50 people tops. And very different level. So if you put all in the same class, it's gonna be like a clusterfuck. So you kind of need different classes. But in the big race, there's no point.
Too. These race promoters are gonna make
money.
Come on, let's not get it twisted. It's a business, and they have to make money. They're not doing this to make money. So, Mike Walker. Now this is a confusing question. What is a pro driver? How do you know if you are a pro driver? Once you know what a pro driver is, how do you know if you have what it takes to become one? In this never-ending discount racing world we live in, maybe what it is to be a pro has gotten lost.
No,
I have to
you're a
agree
pro
with
driver when
him.
your first job is driving RC cars. That's it.
Yeah, when you're getting paid to race RC cars and that's all you have to do,
Yeah.
you're a pro driver.
Yeah.
You're not a pro driver if you hang out with the pros, run everything that they're running, and wear everything that they're wearing, and style your hair like they're wearing, and wear the same clothes and penny loafers and all that type of stuff that they are, and act like them. That does not make you a pro driver. In fact, that makes you a fanboy, and that is probably preventing you from being. There's nothing wrong with being a fanboy. I love Ryan. I love Ryan Cavallari. I love David Ronnefalk. I hang off their nuts. I think they're great. I think Mayfield's great, but I just like Ronnefalk and I like Barufalo and these type of guys. To say all
but
of
you
that,
are not trying to be a pro driver.
no, I'm a fan of these guys.
Yeah,
you know what
that's
I mean?
the difference.
The problem is I see too many guys out there that think they're pro because they could have a million. Well, I think the whole having a whole bunch of names on your shirt like is going away, and it's more just like wearing shirts like this, which is fine, but I just think there is no line. So people just don't know what a pro is in an RC because let's be honest, if you went to a track, how would you know who a pro, if you didn't know, you went to a RC, if you went to RC, if you went to DNC next week, didn't know anything about RC, how would you know who's a pro driver out there? We all look the same.
In that sense, it's kind of like a blurred line. But to me, it's pretty simple. Like someone like Ryan Lutz, I'm pretty sure he's getting paid a monthly salary. He's a pro driver. Someone like Cavallari Mayfield, they just drive the car, they get a salary. Drake is sort of technically, I don't view Drake as a pro driver. He's a professional working in the RC industry.
Yes.
I don't view him as a pro driver.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of people out there that think they're pros or almost pros, and they do a lot of damage to the industry too, man. There's a lot of guys out there with these good deals that don't do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
If your first job that pays for your living is not racing RC cars, you're not a pro driver, not even close. If you earn $1,000 a month for driving RC cars, you're almost a pro driver.
Yeah, you're a pro driver. You are a pro driver because you ain't making much money. Trust me. It's only a few guys that are making really good money.
Oh,
and
yeah.
after that, it's like
Yeah, but I mean, if you make a wage that's a living wage, you're a professional RC driver. If you make like a few $100 a month from each company and you total $1,000 a month, I don't think you're gonna be a pro driver for long.
No, that's not a big salary to live on.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Not at
especially
all.
like if you live in the Dominican Republic, you can probably live off of
That's
that.
not even
But
enough.
anywhere
man,
else in the
trust
world,
me.
yeah,
I mean, not to live like I live in the Dominican Republic because it's cheap to live good. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
and
But I mean, you can
$1,000
probably
is-
make it okay with 1,000.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
in
it would be a
Finland,
lot.
with
I would have to cut
1,000,
a
you
lot out of my life. It wouldn't be no action figures or RC stuff coming this way. That's for sure. I got 2 kids. What was we talking about? Oh, pro. Yeah, I don't know, man. There is no definitive line. So I've been saying this forever, and until we have a definitive line,
okay, we have to
still gonna
divide
this
this.
problem.
Like we have to divide this. Being technical, there's a very clear line, which is what I just explained. But
Yes.
like what you're talking about is sort of like who is represented as a pro driver. Like there's so many guys. Like technically, I'm one of those guys too who like if no one knew, I could look like a pro because I'm a factory sponsored driver and I have sponsors on my shirt, whatever. But like I'm not even close to be a pro driver. You know.
But you came.
So in
I
that
mean,
sense,
you came close. Let's be honest. Like when you was at
okay, well,
JQ, you was a factory driver. You
Yeah.
just didn't get paid because we didn't have money.
Yeah, but that's the difference. I could divide it like people that pay for their stuff are not pros, not semi-pros. People who don't have to pay for their stuff but don't get any money are like semi-pro, and
I
then
could say
pro are they don't have to pay for anything and get a salary.
Right.
So there's
Now,
like 3 different classes.
Here's the big difference is that getting from that pro that where you're paying for stuff to getting free stuff, it's possible. It's
Yeah, that's
easy.
actually pretty. It's pretty easy
yeah,
if you are
it
like
is easy
if you
to
put
do.
some time into it And especially if you go to some like off-brand, like
Yes.
there's it's pretty easy to get stuff for free with the budget. It's not. I mean, you have to be good, no doubt about
Yes.
it. But it's like you don't need to be exceptional.
Now it's getting from where you that level, like where you was at. Like I think this is where, no offense, I think you kind of struggled where you got to that level, you did good in the open class, dominated, and then you're kind of in limbo because you get against these guys who are faster than you, and to make gains
Yeah.
against these guys, it's really difficult. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
discouraging too. You know, you're going out there, you're trying your best, and but that's where the gains are hard, and that's where a lot of these few guys that probably could have been pro guys, this is where they left. You know, when they got to that
Yeah.
level where, like you made like a DNC, you made this big jump. Then you went to PNB, you did pretty good. You know, you didn't finish good, but you know, you qualified okay. And then like just
Yeah.
after that, just there's small steps, and they're so
Yeah.
tiny. Some
I think
people
JQ
leap.
Yeah, I think JQ talked about this in his video, where it's like it's really easy to get to that 1 second a lap difference.
Mhm.
I can
Yeah.
go to a race and be 1 second off Ongaro, and that's like, yeah, if I have a decent day, I'm 1 second off Ongaro. Then if something crazy goes on, I can be like a half a second off. But that last second, that's what makes difference between semi-pro and pro.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, a couple more questions. Justin Huglin, a fellow Star Wars fan. I don't like this question. Ronnefalk Mayfield Lutz, you got to marry one, screw one, and kill one. Let's see who you really are. I don't know. I don't want to kill none of those guys.
Lutz is like religious, so I would want to marry him.
I think
Then
I'd marry Lutz because I think he'd take
he's
good
like
care of
a
me.
yeah, yes. Lutz is like a family man.
Yeah.
Ronnefalk and Mayfield is like, I don't know what I kind of like. I don't view him as a family man.
But he is. He's
sort of like
wife and a son.
He has.
But
He has a son.
does.
For
But he's
real?
kind of like,
I knew he had like a girlfriend or something. I didn't know he was a son.
I kind of see Mayfield like chilling out after hard days of work at the tire shop or wherever at a mechanic shop, and his wife beater, chilling out, watching sports, drinking Coors Light. Like that's kind of what I envision Mayfield if he wasn't an RC driver, but he isn't. He is. So I mean, he probably still does that because he loves Coors Light. He loves that stuff. I don't know. What would I?
Americans need to try some good beer.
I tried to give him some Modelo. He didn't like it. And Modelo isn't it. But I don't know if
Modelo
I'm going
is
to screw
okay.
any of these guys. I'm not into men. So
yeah, it's kind of hard to say.
Kill? I don't want to kill none of them, man. I don't know if I could kill any of them, really, to be truly.
Killing lots. No, I couldn't kill lots. Mayfield, like killing Mayfield is like getting rid of the fun. Like he adds some fun. Ronnefalk is sort of like,
so I can't kill him.
David is, but we have to kill David. There's no other option.
Well, he's gonna if we don't kill David, he'll kill us. Yeah. So I think we'd have to kill him.
Yeah. Definitely kill David.
If David would kill us in a heartbeat, I think so.
Okay, so official statement. The NNRC podcast will go after David Ronnefalk. Watch out.
In a good way, David would kill us first.
So we have to
I don't know. That's a hard question.
I don't know. I don't think this works with RC racers. RC racers are not really people you want to kill or fuck.
I know, but I think what it is, David's very calculated. So he would have like plotted to kill us way before we even thought of killing him.
Yeah. Swedish people just think about killing people all day. That's all they do. Definitely not.
I mean, when you're in Finland munching on rainbird nuts, balls.
Yeah, maybe in Lapland.
All right, we have one more question. We have a couple more questions. Why doesn't Lucas Lauren know how to party? I don't know, man. He's busy at races. Lucas said he's not running Nitro this year. He's just gonna do e-buggy because it's easier. I totally understand that. He's busy at these races with the shop and all that. All right, so last question. Because
hopefully this is a good one because these questions went downhill. You started off with the best one and then it's gone downhill from there.
I know. Well, DNC is coming up. So for people to know, I've already talked to David and did that part of the podcast, right? So, we talked with them, and you'll be coming on next week, hopefully as well. We'll see when we do some lives, but. Basically, oh, hold on. Where's the question? Because I like to get the names right. Wyatt Gaskins asks, predictions, DNC top 3. E-Buggy, let's go.
We only doing Nitro. No way we doing
No,
all
we're doing all
classes.
3. We're doing all 3.
No. Okay, I'm good with E-Buggy and Nitro.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a negotiation.
Okay, all right. E-Buggy, who's your top 3?
So is every single American like top guy going? No Europeans.
It's all gonna be all Americans and Thai.
Yeah, but everyone is going though. Like Thai and
Lutz isn't going.
Lutz isn't going. What?
Yeah, he's not going.
Maybe I need to kill him. We need to switch our answers.
He's
okay,
not going,
so
yeah.
E-Buggy. T-Bow's been pretty fast in E-Buggy recently, and if it gets blown out, their extra long arms might benefit him. So I put. Well, I don't know. Mayfield's gonna be there. Tetzman's gonna be there. Well, maybe I don't know.
Hard, I know.
Mayfield is definitely in the top 3. There's no question about it. Mayfield's
I think Mayfield wins E-Buggy hands down.
I think Mayfield wins every class.
I think he sweeps it too. But I think Tebow is gonna win Nitro Buggy.
Maybe Chuggy.
I think because Tebow was then this is Thunder Alley, not But last year Tebow was fast, a fast second. Was it? Yeah, he was second.
Well, third because Mayfield was second, and
all right, yeah, but he
Ronnefalk
was
won.
Sorry,
but yeah, he was okay. But I think he might win Truggy because he's been really good Truggy recently. But I think E-Buggy, I think the podium in E-Buggy would be Mayfield wins, Tebow is second or third, and then who would be like the last
Fend. I think Fend's gonna be in there.
Maybe Nitro. Well, it's Thunder Alley, so yeah, he could be there. Because
Well,
if he was like, yeah, but if he was Paris, then Fend with that TLR rear end wouldn't be anywhere near. But like Thunder Alley, he could be okay.
Well, I mean, Cavallari was out there Monday night with Dunford practicing because he didn't have a.
Yeah, but he finished 5th at the JBRL. Yeah. So,
I'm gonna tell you right now, and I said this on the podcast already. Drake will be on a podium in Truggy, E-Buggy, or Nitro Buggy. I think he's gonna be on one of those podiums, like the top 3.
He might TQ around, but he'll not be in a podium.
Drake can win Truggy.
No.
Drake can win Truggy at DNC
against Mayfield with same equipment.
That is his home track, dude.
No, I mean, come on. It's Mayfield.
He blasted Rivkin out of the water this past.
Oh, we forgot. Oh, yeah. Actually, well, Rivkin is not that good in E-Buggy. I think Rivkin is on the podium in Nitro. He's been doing really well. I don't know.
Made the A-main at
yeah, but this is Thunder Alley, remember?
Right. So, and he went this week at the JBRL. So
and he was fast.
He might be a sneak. He could be a dark horse. And then
I don't know how he does it, but he's been really good in Nitro recently.
He's not. Yeah,
he's like a sleeper. He's like every race he's either second or third. He hasn't won much, but he's been always second or third. So he's gonna make the podium again. No problem.
So let's talk about Nitro real quick because we're going for 30 minutes.
Who's our last one for the E-Buggy? Mayfield, Tebow,
Fend. I'm gonna throw Fend.
Okay, yeah. Let's put
or Seth Van Dalen. Or
no, if it was Paris, then yes. But this is Thunder Alley. I think like the regular guys are pretty much more.
Thunder Alley. That's how he broke into the scene in 2019. He at that race with Miguel. Miguel's race. Buggyland.
Was it DNC before that?
RCGP? They had it after.
I don't know. I haven't heard about it. Oh yeah, that was like a kind of small race.
Yes, but it had some. I don't know.
It has some guys there.
These guys know this surface. Guys like Mayfield, Cavallari, they know this surface for many years. Drake.
Actually, Cav might be okay in E-Buggy though. I think Cav. I'd put Cav over Fend in E-Buggy.
Okay.
In Nitro, I'd put Fend over Cav.
Really? No.
Yes.
No.
He's really Fend is much better Nitro driver than E-Buggy driver.
But
the length of the main doesn't. Yeah, but the thing is, like, yes, that's the issue. Like, if he finishes, then he's gonna finish better than Cav.
All right, so I'm gonna say this. I wouldn't be surprised if Mayfield sweeps this, but I think
hasn't he swept like the last 3 or something?
no, but
Apart from Ronnefalk winning
he swept DNC before all 3 classes. I can
many times.
see Ty coming in Nitro.
Mm.
I can see maybe we got to see how those FX engines.
But it's
and
hot race tires.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that track J Concept is really good, and like even Ronnefalk when he was there, he ran HB tires over hot race if I'm not wrong. So yeah, I'm not sure hot race. I mean, it's gonna be good. Those are good tires.
That's a whole year. It's a whole year, over a year since then. You know what I mean? So
what do you mean?
When we was at RCGP.
Yeah, but it's still the same surface. So
right, but hot race has developed more since then too.
No, same compound. Well, they have a new compound, so maybe they're better in the nighttime.
All right, so let's
David
do our
ran
Nitro
HP
pick.
tires.
Nitro pick. I think
Well, Mayfield's winning.
I think Tebow's gonna win it.
Okay, I'll put Mayfield is most likely gonna win it, but if Tebow wins it, I won't be too surprised.
Okay,
like Tebow is sort of like if he wins, I'm like okay, Tebow won. But if Mayfield wins, I'm like, come on, no brainer. What's going on?
I know. I hate always trying to pick Mayfield. It's like I know he can win it. Like there's no doubt that I know he can win all 3 of these classes. So I like to throw. Yeah. I think the young guy that's gonna impress me is and I think he needs to have a good race. Both of these guys actually need to have a really good race. Is Seth and Tyler because Tyler.
I don't know. And they just need to make the main. That's fine. Well, I think
Seth should make the main. Tyler will make the main. Tyler will be good.
Yeah. But the thing is, with Tyler,
these young guys,
with Tyler and Jeff, what they need to do is do consistent top 5s, and that's enough for them for like a few years. Seth. Oh, sorry, yeah. But anyway, like Seth and Tyler, like if they win like races like this, that'll be great. But if they win DNC and then don't make the main at some other race, that's much worse than finishing 5th in both of these races. Because one hit wonders happen quite a lot, but consistently fast racers are really not that big, like not that common. That's what I'm meaning here.
I agree. I think Tyler wants it more. I think Seth wants it.
I don't know,
but I think Tyler's more aggressive. Does that?
I haven't seen them drive that much. I think Tyler is but I think Tyler has been really inconsistent since. Seth's been much more consistent.
Yes, well, also Tyler was also trying to do school, finish up school, doing last
year,
I know, and all that stuff. Now he's actually like not doing school and focusing on RC.
And he's with Tekno now, which I think is better suited for him.
Yeah, I think Tekno is just gonna have so much information coming in through their pits at that track. They have so much time on that track.
Yeah,
that's why I just think Tekno is going to do really well there. And then obviously Mugen with Drake and relaying information to Mayfield. Yeah. And
Mayfield, even though he doesn't go Thunder Alley like that much, he knows the track like so well. Like almost like not as good as Drake, obviously, but he's got it down.
We're gonna see one of these young guys in the main, or a few of them in the main. I think.
That's definitely
a Renner Connect, Aiden Horn, maybe a Fuller, because Mason Fuller's been
maybe
rest in peace to Mason Fuller.
Well, okay, yeah, the Europeans make quite a lot. The Europeans make a lot of room in the main, so there's gonna be a lot of like new names there.
No Robert, no Canas, no Ronnefalk, no Barufalo,
Ongaro,
no Boots, no Ongaro. So that's 6.
What? Okay, yeah.
That's
only like half of the main.
Right. Like and let's say like last year there was Ongaro was in the main, Canas, Figueredo was in the main. Batty didn't go.
Yeah.
There were 5 European guys in the main, I think, last year. And there was more the year before. So.
It's been like half and half of past few years. Yeah. Europeans been really good in that race for some reason.
I know. It is. It's a great race for Europeans.
What about someone like Spencer Heckert or Camden Lime? Those kids are really fast on that track.
I think Specker Heckert makes the main. He made the main last year. What did I call him?
Specker Heckert. Spencer Heckert.
Spencer Heckert. Yes.
Heckert. Yeah.
He has to. He will make the main. I think he can also do very well. Depends on how that look, man. When I was there, for RCGP, man, Canas's car, Canas look good out there. Like, you know what I mean? So
Canas looks good everywhere. He's
Well,
really, he
that's-
drives really uniquely. I really love watching him drive. It doesn't look
so
very
punched.
nice. It looks really violent, but
Yes.
it's like he's somehow very aggressive and violent and still in so good of a control of the car.
Yeah, I saw you tried to emulate him on that one jump up on the top level that had a big pothole in it. I watched you hit 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, Canas could go through that aggressively and do it, but you can't, Max. So stop doing it, please.
Yeah.
Go 10 centimeters that way. But it's gonna be interesting. We definitely have to bring you on next week, one of the lives, and we talk about it. But DNC is gonna be great. I think we might have to. We're gonna do a preview show her next Wednesday during practice, and hopefully you're off. But maybe next weekend you can come on for a Saturday show or something
maybe.
like that. But that's all the questions that we have. I know we said we was only going to do 15, 20 minutes, but see, we got to talk about DNC, and then, we're doing so another long podcast for everybody. Max, thank you for your time, dude. I know it's late. Let's link up next week. DNC is coming. We're gonna start taking notes because we gotta sound like we know what we're talking about her next week. Because
what do you mean? Of course we sound like we know what we're talking about.
We're not gonna be there, so we kind of have to bring some excitement. Now, of course, Live RC will be doing a good job, so we'll be doing that.
I'll be looking at people's lap times and calculating like who's gonna win by looking at just the times, doing data science.
That's your job. That's your job.
Yeah.
And you say that
I'm gonna nerd out.
Agree or not agree with you. All right, everybody. Thank you for all the questions. Tune in next week. We got some plans. We got about 3 live shows next week planned for you. And hey, Max, thank you for your time. I'm gonna go on to it's weird because I'm kind of recording this, but now I go on to the main interview, which is about DNC with David and Zac Ryan. So thank you, dude. Oh, also, you dropped a video yesterday on Camber. Please go sub to Max Mort's channel. He just dropped a video on Camber. Go sub, show him some love. He's at 226. We need to get him to 500 very soon, and then 1,000 after that. So go check him out, Max Mort on YouTube. And Max, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you for your time, dude.
No worries.
Tekno RC. Tekno RC. Tekno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in 8th and 10th scale high-performance off-road RC buggies and trucks. Visit www.teknorc.com for a complete catalog of their products. Tekno RC. Excellence in engineering. #Tekno Takeover.
Yes. Thank you, Tekno RC, for bringing the main interview for this week. And joining us this week is the freaking Viking all the way from Sweden. Look, it's so cold. He's got his cool, nice, really cool HB David Ronnefalk jacket on, his New York Rangers hat. Where's the heat, man? Where's the heat inside the David Ronnefalk arena?
Yeah, right now we have, I think it's like 10 minus outside Celsius. So it's not any isolation on the roof or anything here. So it's a little chilly in here. It's probably like around 10 where the track is, but we got heated pit area at least. So in there I'm warm, but the connection was better out here.
Sweet. I appreciate you coming on. Zac, thank you for coming on. Joseph was supposed to be here, but he's out there testing 10 scales. So I thought it would be cool to have you on. I know you're going to help me out a little bit next week when we do the lives. Unfortunately, you won't be there to become a 3-time DNC champion, Nitro champion. But we got to watch it and we got to analyze it. Zac, you went to DNC what year?
Must have been like 2012, something like that.
So you got to experience
long time ago.
At which track? At which track did you go to?
It was Fear Farm, Arizona. Okay. Yeah.
So I got to go in 2018 to Fear Farm, and then obviously in SoCal Race. What's it? Fairgrounds where we had it the last 2 years. But here it is at Thunder Alley. The first time it's been at like Thunder Alley's been around forever. So I don't think it's ever held a dirt race, and this makes it interesting because JBRL was this past weekend. This is the first time in a long time we've had a DNC where there are weeks before that people can go race there. You know what I mean? Get used to the dirt. Obviously, the track is going to be different for the race, but it's not that. It's just getting on there, getting the surface. Because Thunder Alley is unique. You know, it's multi elevated. That's not going to change. That elevation's always going to be there. Certain parts of the track will be there. So I guess I want to start with you, David. If you was able to go to this race, which I believe it's the 22nd running of it, maybe it's 21st, 22nd, I think. Would you be out there right now? Would you have been at JBRL this past weekend?
I'm not sure if I would have done the JBRL. Probably. I know for sure. I was texting with Cole yesterday, and he flew out. So I would definitely be there at least this week. I'm not sure I would do the race last week they had there, but definitely some practice before, like I usually do when I go to the DNC. I try to go at least a week before to have some kind of nitro running, because normally not every year that I make the Montpellier, I basically don't have any nitro racing in me since a few months back. So it's always good to come out and do some testing and try and get track time before the race starts.
Right, and just for people to understand, for nitro enthusiasts like myself and Zac and David, DNC is like my third race of the year now, but it's the Super Bowl of our race. So it's like SIC, which I watch, and then there's the Montpellier, which would have been before this, which would have been like the Euro warm-up. And what I always liked about DNC was that this race attracts everybody. It's like a mini Worlds. It's kind of like Neo was the indoor Worlds. It attracted people from all over the world. Maybe not as many as Americans in the later years it did. But DNC attracts a big European presence, Australian, New Zealand, Asian, South American, European. It attracts people from all over the world. This is one of the reasons why I like this race so much. It won't have that this year, unfortunately. I mean, in fact, David, you're what was it? 3-time e-buggy champion, 1-time truggy champion, and 2-time nitro buggy champion. So you've won every class there. Most successful European there. That's one of the big appealing factors, is the international flavor. What do you think about that, Zac? Going there as a spectator, and you've been to Worlds before.
Well, I think probably the big standout for DNC is just like the time between your runs is so extreme that it's almost like you're driving on a completely new track, just because how much the track develops over the course of a couple of days, you know, and they split the schedule up. So it's sort of nitro and then it'll be, you know, truggy the next day. And so you may not have been on the track for sort of 48 hours. So, you know, you're starting afresh nearly with a clean skin on that sort of that time that you're getting on the track. And that's where it really sorts out the top drivers, I feel, because they're just so good at adapting so quickly to a completely new track, you know, learning different lines and taking sections completely different from what they would have had to have taken 2 days ago. And I feel like that's what DNC's all about, and probably where the prestige comes from, and why it's so hard to win.
Yeah, and Joey's tracks too. You know, we've gotten used to his tracks. Remember, I'm no offense, Joey was the premier track builder in the world, but there's many guys out there now that are building some really great tracks. Anthony Westergaard, Bobby Moore has his style. The guy in Brazil, Davide, who was going to do the Worlds track, he's really good. He learned from Joey. But Joey always seems to do a decent track, a really good track with something crazy in it, like his 6-pack that was the 2018, the bridge and the 6-pack. The bridge that cost you e-buggy championship as well, David, in 2018. And then that 6-pack was super dangerous on the front stretch there. So there's always, and this track, what I like is that Joey leaves the Bobcat skid marks in it too as well, so the track gets rough. Now it gets too rough. I think 2019 it got really too rough, I think.
That was at a new track as well.
Yeah.
So I guess he had some time to get used to the dirt and everything as well. But yeah, it was very loose when we got there 2019 already from the start, and the track really deteriorated. So
yeah, but yeah, this is just such an old race too. It started at a small track in Hammett. Have any of you ever had the chance to go to Hammett? Maybe that was before your time, David, Zac.
Yeah, I haven't been there.
I had a chance to go there, and you read about this track. and you hear all these great things about it. And then when you went there and saw how small it was, you was like, wow, this is it. This is where all this great racing's held. But it was probably one of the hardest tracks I've ever driven on. It was, the dirt was very dark. It was hard to see the holes and stuff like that. But so that's
this was the battle. This was the battle between like Chad Bradley and Taylor
Yes.
James and stuff back in the day. Yeah,
this
this
is
is really small track. I've seen some video of that. Yeah,
yeah. Lots of this track had actually. I think they might have had. They had metal ramps as well, like graded ramps. So it was like that graded. That was the surface. So that wasn't. I mean, it made it consistent, but if it got wet, it was super slippery and. Just this is what this race was built on. And obviously it moved to Arizona. What was that? The Snake Pit or something like that, or somewhere where it was some track where it was in Arizona for a time before it went to Fair Farm and many iterations. But this is the first time like Thunder Alley. Like, come on, Thunder Alley's iconic. It's there. I don't know if it's the best for pitting wise. You know what I mean? Because for RCGP, we kind of all pitted up on the back, and it kind of put us away from everybody because down in the front, it's kind of a small area. But I think racing-wise, this is going to be some good racing, just for the elevation, the surface, all this type of stuff. What's your thoughts on it at Thunder Alley, David? You had a bittersweet RCGP there. You were so dominant there in 2019, like so fast. You and Cole, so fast. You, Cole, and Canas, and McBride. McBride was fast too. But you above everybody, your receiver failed. What do you think about Thunder Alley as the surface and just for track-wise for these guys coming up next week?
I think it will be interesting. The place is nice, and like you said, it's a bit far away with the pitting and everything. But I think that's just the case at any DNC. Like, you don't really want to be too close to the action as there's a lot of noise and also the nitro in the air and stuff. So it can be good as well. And I think it's a nice, and it will be nice atmosphere there. I think it would be pretty close to like an amphitheater, like something similar to Pattaya, which was even, the next level in terms of that. But about the track, I think it's a good size track. It's cool with the elevation changes, like you said before. And every time I went, it's been really fun. During practice days, they usually leave it dry probably longer than they will at the race. So I don't really know what to expect for the track, but once they leave it dry, I know it wears a lot of tire. It's pretty hard on the chassis and stuff because it gets really hard packed in the race. But they will probably water quite a bit, and also there's quite a big difference from running in the day and in the night, because in the night the moisture stays in the track, and it actually it won't dry up during a main or anything. So people have to take that in mind as well when they choose tires and setup wise and everything. And I think we just had a really good setup and also tire program there at the RCGP that really excelled my speed around the track. And also obviously Cole was going fast, so yeah, the car actually, I mean, it works really well on American style tracks, and it would be awesome to go there and try to get another title. But I guess I'll have to sit back at home and cheer Cole on and the other guys in the team.
Yeah, the HB team will be big there. You got Tyler Braun, he'll be out there, and it's going to be packed. It's 80 is really big in SoCal. Let's be honest. Unfortunately, this isn't going to be as good as the other DNCs because it's primarily going to be a big SoCal race. There are going to be a lot of people traveling. Maybe not as many from the East Coast, but Midwest. A lot of the fast Midwest guys are coming up, Texas guys. So in lieu of the European guys, which would have been usually it's you, Canas, Boots goes. Who else? Badier. I would like to see Barufalo goes a lot. Barton. Yeah. And I would like to see Barton go and more Euro. Angaro last 2 years has gone there. So it attracts a big and European contingent. More than I would say that goes to America, goes to Europe. Definitely not as many Americans go over to Europe, unfortunately. Like maybe Neo was like that. I don't know. Maybe in the last years.
I would say Neo was close to something similar. But yeah, we don't really have any other race like that. And I also think for the Americans, they don't like to go to a permanent track over in Europe.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, we have mainly permanent tracks. Maybe they make some small changes from year to year, but I think that's a big reason why they don't want to travel.
It doesn't make any difference. The Europeans have been going to DNC and doing well every year you've gone there. When was the first time you went there, David? Well, how old were you?
2012. It was in Fair Farm. Yeah.
All right. So same year as you, Zac. Did you meet him at this year, or did you know him at this time?
No, I didn't know you. I didn't know you at all then. So
yeah,
I was probably running some dodgy brand back then as well. So I was like down the back with the plebs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What? How did you make out at your first DNC, David?
Wow, that's a good question. 2012. I don't really remember. I know I made it main. I'm pretty sure. Maybe mid pack somewhere between 5 and 10, somewhere around there.
Well, you were still young. 9 years ago, you was 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Still young, man. Still young.
No, he's getting old now, man.
You're 25. Yeah, you are on the way out, man. You are completely on the way out.
25 a month.
Yeah, well, we should have a birthday party for you.
Closer to 30, mate. It's only downhill now.
Yeah. Now it's not 30. It's not 20 now. You run it off to 30. For me, my first time going to this race, meeting everybody that you going to this iconic race that you read about in the magazines and stuff like that. I really enjoyed it at Fur Farm when I went. I'm glad I got to experience it there. It was different. It was definitely there. No running water. It was rough. Like sand, that wind would come up and rip all that sand in your eyes, and it was cold there too. It was definitely an experience. Getting showers at truck stops, I've never done that before. But what a great race it was. It was, the energy was there. I got to meet, like, my first West Coast race. So I was I'm used to East Coast races. West Coast was a little stuck up, like, people like to themselves, but I got to know people. Then the next year I went, and you get to know people. And that's one of the things I enjoy about going to these races, is meeting the people, doing the pit walks, getting people's experience. And especially this race, there's such an international flair. People from all over the world come. So you get to talk and meet them. And obviously just the racing, man, just the awesome racing. Zac, you've only been once, right?
Yeah, just once. That's right. Okay. That was enough for me. Yeah.
Right. No, you're like me. You don't like to go. You don't like. I always say this. I like to go to DNC. I do not like to race DNC. I would like to do it one day. But I'm pretty happy doing some laps on the Monday after. But it's definitely a difficult race due to the amount of entries. I do like that it's split up. I do like that we have a day for e-buggy and truggy, which is great because it gives you some time to relax. You know what I mean? If you don't run those classes, that's fine. If you just run e-buggy or whatever, that's fine. Also for the pro guys, you don't have to worry about Nitro buggy that day. You just focus on that, and then Nitro buggy all day Sunday. I guess, David, looking at this race going in last year, you were super determined. After 2019, when you should have won, honestly, let's be honest. You would have won that race had not been for that lamppost, which is just like another fluke. That was a crazy race. Remember, even during one of the qualifiers, that them guys, a hay bale split open and it went all over the track, and there was guys trying to clean it up during one of you guys' qualifiers or something like that. Just crazy things like this happen at DNC, and I will never forget it. I was on top of that Connex screaming like, "Let's go, Viking! Burn, rape, and pill it!" I was screaming this, and then I was like, he's gonna demolish everybody. And then I just saw your car. I saw it go over that pipe, and I was like, what is he doing? What is he doing? No! Like, I was heartbroken. I was so heartbroken because I wanted you to win. But you came back in 2020 with complete vengeance. Like, what? How are you able to do these type of things, man? Like, honestly, like, I think if you was to hop on a plane right now, fly to California, and yes, I'm gonna swing on your nuts because I think you're the best, one of the best RC car drivers out there in the world. I think you could go not race 8 scale in probably over a year. I think you could go there. I think you can go there, and I think you could win next week. That's how confident I am in your abilities. Do you feel that way too?
Yeah, I mean, I especially now I've been driving more than I think I ever have. Now having my both tracks here. I mean, I think any wheel time is good. then it's just a matter of you know, a couple of days or so to get used to the
Mhm.
class. So obviously an 8-scale car would feel like a bus compared to a 10-scale to drive on
Yeah,
carpet.
that makes sense too.
But you know, after 2 days or so at the track, I'm pretty sure I would be up to speed, and of course I would like to go for those titles. But yeah, that
Repeat
2000.
this year would have been on your mind. Repeat, new truggy.
No, for sure, for sure. I think Mayfield is the only one to do it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I would definitely want to do it. I heard only good positive things about the track. I haven't tried
Mhm.
yet, so I would be pretty excited to try that. And I mean, even last year I was actually pretty good going with the truck as well, even though it was a pretty old platform. But this year it looks like people saying it's a lot more corner speed in a new car, and also great drive out of the corner. So that was kind of what we were missing on the old car. So it would be pretty exciting to try that and go for the 3 feet. But I guess I'll have to wait for next year.
I know.
I mean,
It's so
you're
unfortunate.
doing quite a lot of racing, obviously indoors at the moment, but that surface is nowhere near what you would have at DNC. I mean, is there really anything similar outdoors in Sweden? I mean, not that I have seen.
I mean, honestly, I think in terms of like rough tracks, I think Sweden is the place you want to go if you want to practice rough, because we have plenty
Really?
of rough
Okay.
tracks. Maybe you remember the 2017 Euros, which Robert won on that huge
Oh,
track
yes.
we have
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was really rough towards the end.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, when I grew up racing, all the tracks were like that, beat up and rough and bumpy and loamy and dusty. And I mean, I'm an 8-scale driver and I'm an off-road driver, so I love these kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I would probably struggle more on a smooth, like high bite slick style track, but I'm getting pretty confident on that stuff as well. So
So
Yeah,
when you're
yeah.
leading up to Vegas, that obviously there was going backwards and forwards between super smooth and then, okay, we're going to change it back to an old school track. That change, were you were more happy to see that they'd go to an old school, or it didn't really matter at that point? You were pretty happy on both surfaces, or like you still prefer to this day that it would be like a blown out sort of old school track?
no, I mean, Vegas, I liked it like it was. I think it was pretty natural. Yeah, they watered the track during qualifying, but it became rough and off-roady, let's say. And
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, we had plenty different conditions at that track during the year before leading up to the race. But I definitely prefer like it was at the Worlds. I know Silver State, they use some kind of sugar glue. I mean, for me, I like the old school off-road racing more, like DNC, let's say.
Mhm. Mhm. It didn't get too rough at RCGP though. Not too bad. Not like DNC rough. Normal like the year
At
before.
Thunder Alley.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean it wasn't that rough. It was
Mhm.
yeah, a little bit, but also during the final when they kind of water the track before, everything gets a little bit less crazy with the when the moisture stays in. It doesn't get like as edgy, the roughness of the track. If it's dry, it's more like sharp edges, and you'll
Mhm.
feel the bumps more, let's say.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's a difference as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think what we're gonna see, like I said, is these young guys. We're gonna see the Renaconnects, the Horns. Like I know it sounds bad, but Rivkin hasn't made an A-man at DNC for the last couple years, so I think he'll be there. He was at JBRL this past weekend. Him and Brunson, so they're taking it serious. I think Drake, man. I honestly think we're gonna see Drake on a podium. Maybe not on one of the 3-man podiums. Okay, if he runs 40 plus, he'll win 40 plus. But outside of 40 plus, I think we can see Drake on an e-buggy, truggy, or Nitro podium because this is his home track. This is his home track. He knows it like the back of his hand. He just demolished guys at JBRL. I think we're going to see Drake. I mean, he finished 7th last year. I think we're going to see him do well. The old man is going to do pretty good. But who do you think's going to who's your top 3? let's start with you, Zac. Give me your top 3 in Nitro buggy.
Well, I've spoken to you previously about this. I think Tebow's pretty good on a tight, small track, and I feel that probably suits him at Thunder Alley. So I think, he's probably going to be in the top 3. Mayfield's obviously being really competitive at the moment, and really Cole also, his lap speed, if he can just keep his head and stay calm, he's his sort of top 5 and his top 10 on a qualifying run. He's right there with Mayfield as well. So, our boy Cole is definitely going to be in for a good race, I think. And if he gets a good start, then and gets into a groove, then he's definitely in chance for a top 3, I think.
How about young guys, Zac? Any person you think that will surprise you if they make the top 5, or even if they make this main? I don't know if you're too well versed on the young guys in America, but
Seth Van Dalen's still, I guess, one of the young guys, and he had a pretty good performance at the last DNC out of the bat. So whether he's been doing much 8-scale stuff at the moment, I'm not too sure, but it'd be interesting to see how he goes, I believe. Yeah.
All right, David, who you picking?
Yeah, I would say 3 guys would definitely be Ty, Mayfield, and people like Zac said. And, the last couple of races, Cole, like Zac said as well, Cole has been having the speed, just not having the start. Little mistake, especially in the starts, which kind of throws him off pace he's not really in it from the beginning. And I think those first 5-10 minutes is crucial for him to stay up front, and if he is, he can for sure challenge for a top 3 spot. Like you saw, which race was that? It was one race where he was pretty close to Mayfield.
Mugen
for
Challenge.
A very long time. Yeah.
Mugen Challenge.
He was in the heart there. Yeah.
Cole is amazingly fast, man. People, when I watched him and you at RCGP, just like, it was beautiful. Like, I can't explain it. Like, to watch you guys, you guys look like you was reading each other's minds out there at one point. Like, you knew what each person was going to do. The confidence between you guys to race with each other was awesome. I think, honestly, you want my honest opinion? I think he's missing that. You, Adrian, everybody being there. I know you guys are 2 key ingredients to the team. I know when you and Adrian are there, Cole's level picks up. You know what I mean? Because that takes some stress off of him, because he has to be the guy all the time when he's there. Hopefully out there on the West Coast with Tyler and all the other West Coast guys there will alleviate some of that. But what young guy do you think is going to impress you? You think is going to be in the main, and you aren't going to you don't suspect it?
Seth is obviously fast. Tyler Jones.
Yeah, but those guys, I expect them to be if they ain't in the main, then they're not in the road to being pro drivers. I'm talking about like younger guys. We're gonna see some of these younger guys come at these guys. Maybe like young guys that ain't making no noise right now. 10-scale guys.
Well,
I would say go ahead, Zac.
I was just going to say that I see Kaisho have actually got in as a sponsor for DNC. I didn't even realize that Kaisho was still going. So maybe CJ Jellin might come out of the woodwork and throw something out.
I was shocked to see that they sponsored it too. I'm like, hold on, you guys don't have a team manager, but you sponsored DNC. Okay, I'm confused with that. But yeah, give me your suggestion. Who you think is going to do well? Young guy.
I would be pretty excited to see also the young kid on our team, like Filong.
Yeah.
To see kind of his progress.
I think he can make pro e-buggy main.
Yeah,
he's really good at e-buggy.
I saw some of the last race. I think which one was it? Southern Indoor that he made pretty good. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was up there in one of them in the main, and it's when you're that young, you always develop pretty quick your skills and everything. So he's been looking promising, and I think it will be exciting to see what he can do at the race.
For sure. Well, I'm honestly, I think I'm picking Tebow to win this. He looked really fast last year behind you. Mayfield, obviously, and I have to throw in Tessman or Cavalieri. Cav was out there Monday night, man. Out there Monday night practicing, getting that extra practice in. He wasn't happy at JBRL. He had Dunford there. I posted up a video of it. I think Cav needs to have a really great result at this race. And
Dakota
TLR
will
needs
be
it
quick
too.
too. Yeah,
Excuse me?
Dakota will be quick too, for sure.
Yes, if he stays together. But I think Ty, with the new tires, new engine, he has a lot to prove. He needs a good finish. And, man, I tell you, there's going to be so many individual battles here that we have to talk about. Like, there's going to be the Tekno battle. Like, Tekno is going to have 4 guys there that can all be in the A-main. Who's going to be their top driver? Who's going to win out of Tyler Jones and Seth Van Dalen and Joe Bornhorst? You know? Then these young guys coming up, the Fullers, Renner Connects, Aiden Horns, Dragons, Drayton, these guys are all coming to kick ass and take names. So it's going to be interesting to see the individual races that go on in these races, not just between the pro guys, but between up and coming fast racers that we can take a look at. These young guys are gonna show us something, and then the veterans, man. I just think I don't see why Mayfield can't sweep this, but I think Tebow can stop him, Tessman, and yeah, maybe Kev and Fend. So it's gonna be hard, but I'm picking Tebow to win Nitro Buggy. Ooh, interesting. This is why DNC is so interesting. And then if you guys would have been there, the Euro guys, this would have just made it even better. All right. David, I know you're holding your phone up real quick for 30 minutes. Zach, I know it's got to be 1 o'clock there, 2 o'clock in the morning there in Australia. Yeah. Thank you for your time. I hope you guys enjoyed just small preview of DNC. We will have some lives coming next week. Zach, we're going off into our rant. David, I wish you was I wish you was there. I know mentally you're racing these guys. I know you are. You're going to be tuned into Live RC. Can you give us a quick look at the track and the honorary track before we sign off here?
Yes. So, yeah, this is the off-road track. 1 driver stand in the middle, and then we have the on-road track over here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, pretty
Sweet.
cool.
Looks good, man. Lots of hard work. Thank you for your time, for coming on short notice. Zach, talk to you in your rant. Man, I wish you was going to DNC, but we'll be talking next week. Viking, take care, have fun, stay warm, and hey, talk to you later on.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
All right, Zach, we're going to go on to the JQ Racing rant, dude.
All right, let's get it done.
We are now at that point of the show where you should fasten those seatbelts and put your big boy pants on.
Whoa. Things are about to get serious.
It's time for the JQ Racing Rant.
Yes, it is that time of the podcast, the uncensored, unfiltered, noisy part of the podcast that is the JQ Racing Rant. And no, there is no JQ here this week, but this is a rant about something that he definitely feels he's passionate about. He just made a 3-part video, and his last part was about federations, where he criticized EFRA for being very slow, which I agree with him. I constantly criticize the non-existent ROAR. We constantly criticize IFMAR because we think like they need to be doing things a lot better. Zach has been to a few world championships. He also participates in FEMCA, which is the Asian the Asian Australian organization. So he wants to rant a little bit about that because he's a little bit pissed off about the dumb shit that they be doing as well. So hey, Mr. Fancy Pants, put on your big pants because now it's your turn it's your time to shine. Let's go. Let's talk about it.
Well, JQ had the IFMA slogan, right? He worked that bit out. I think we've worked out FEMCA, right?
Okay.
So it's for elderly men's casual attendance. Right? That's FEMCA, man.
Really?
Because I have fucking no idea what the hell is going on with that organization. I've been going to FEMCAs for probably 10 years now, maybe 15, something like that. And the part that just frustrates me to no hell is it's the end of the road with Femke. It's not a stepping stone for a world championships. Like, what the fuck are they doing making this race and not having that as the qualification for the worlds? So if you have a look, right, Femke, what? So for every standard worlds, there's about 39 spots or something for each section. So how is Femke's one of the bigger blocks? Like, I think Efra's got more countries than what Femke's got in our blocks. We're not like Raw that only has 2 countries. We've got like 10 or 12 countries or something, right? So you got to split the 39 entrants up by all those countries. Now, do you reckon you can go somewhere and read how that gets distributed?
Well, you have the same problem that Efra has as well. Distribution of IFMAR entries to the worlds. I believe the European champions does not even qualify them for the. I believe if you win the European Championship, obviously you probably do get you do get into the IFMAR World Champs, but it's done country per country, and some countries and you kind of have the same complaint as they do. In fact, I have to say this, but Raw and America actually has it right this time. Like, one qualifying race, you qualify from there
100%,
and the top 30 or top 40 from that, because obviously America gets a big slot, they go.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why all the other organizations can't do this. Even
so what I can gather, right, because it's been like, it's not, you go to Femke's webpage and it's not written down anywhere. So this is the only way that I can come up and rationalize it in my head. It's got to be done by population, right? So Australia's only got 25 million and we're up against China. Yes. So they're getting huge population. They're getting big brownie points on their population. Good on you, mate. So they get 13 spots, direct spots for the worlds, something crazy like that, right? And Australia gets 2 spots. So we get 2 drivers guaranteed out of the 39 that can go to a world championships. And yet at a Femke race, if the Aussies go, we're typically probably 75% of the main. So could you imagine like how intense that Femke would be if you went, anyone who makes the semi-final or the final at least gets a spot for the worlds, right? And that needs to be the qualification, right? Because then everyone's watching Femke. They want to know like who's going to qualify for the worlds. This is going to be actually an interesting race rather than, I'm in China. How you going, mate? You want to go to the worlds? I've never seen you at a race before, but you can go to a worlds. Oh, you went to one Femke, but you finished in the 128th main. Yeah, that's good, mate. Oh, come on. What's Femke doing? They should be putting their best drivers forward.
I agree. Maybe they take the top 20 out of Femke. Well, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they straight go to the race.
That.
And then you can give each country 2, like it has to, obviously. I think China gets like 20, you said 20 something, and they never go to the worlds. You know what I mean? So that's it's like a waste.
Well, they don't even really come to Femke, mate. That's the thing. So, like, I've been to all these Femkes, and like, yes, we had one Femke in China, and they hosted a good race, but like, why aren't there? Must be some government restrictions there that's stopping them.
That's why.
But it is just so bizarre, and it's so frustrating because typically what ends up happening, right, is they go, okay, well, China gets 13 spots, but then of course they don't go to the worlds. So you find out like 2 weeks before the worlds, oh, we've got all these spots available. Does someone want to go to the worlds? You're like, what? So I just ring up my boss and be like, oh, hey man, I'm just going to go to this race that lasts for a month. And we're going to go over and I'll see you next year. You know what I'm saying?
Not only that, it's like $400 to entry fee to join, to get to do the worlds. People don't understand that. It's expensive.
Yeah, it's we need something else because
do we need to revamp it completely? Because even EFRA is the best out of all these organizations in my opinion, and they are too slow to do things. I mean, they can't even change their logo in a year. And I think there's people inside of EFRA, like the president now, Javier, I think he wants good things, But I think it's very similar to the RC business. You have the old guard in her, Zac, and they don't want to let go. You know what I mean? Especially in IFMAR, like tradition. Oh, we traditionally this started and this is done this way, because I believe IFMAR started in United Kingdom, if I'm not mistaken. And I know UK is steeped in tradition. I get that, but we're still racing electric cars the same way we did in the 80s. And okay, we went up to minute to 5 or 6 now, and things have changed. And these organizations are doing less and less and just collecting and collecting. And we, the people, we should be asking, like, what is going on here? Like, I know in America they don't pay, because people don't pay raw fees, but I think what they want is an organization that actually cares about them and wants to help promote RC, because this is what they should be doing. They should be helping to promote RC as well. And
that's the thing, right? A lot of these organizations are run by people that are just volunteers, you know, especially for the FEMCA side of things. So, you know, while I can be frustrated, and some side of me is like, well, you know, they're doing this all on their own time, but because they've just been so set in their ways for like 15 years, you're like, well, come on, man, you're kind of having a laugh here.
You need to get people like you. People like me, we need to get in there, but they won't allow us in there because we'd cost.
And I can't even see where you would, like, do they host an AGM where they vote the person in? Like this, it's so secret squirrel that you don't even know how they vote the person in. Like, it's not even documented anyway. So
well, we should ask these questions, man. Why? Like, no offense, I thoroughly enjoyed the Worlds in Australia, but it didn't have to be 10 freaking days. You know,
no, it was too long.
It's too long. And you know what? In 10 days, they could, like, I know, like, all right, look, look, e-buggy people. I'm not against e-buggy. In 10 days, you could have had an e-buggy Worlds too, and save. You could have just bought your e-buggy, used the same tires, save money, you know. But 10 days is too long. And even this year, like, we don't know. Well, it's not going to be in Brazil, but I would have loved to have gone to Brazil, but it's obscure. It's hard. I get it. We have to kind of go to these places that every country has to get their spot. I like that part of the Worlds, but at some point, I feel like just saying, why don't we just have this in Las Vegas and everybody can get there, and it's just easiest for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, we had this trouble a little bit in Australia because, you know, we like to make sure that we share around major states and nationals and have them in like, you know, regional areas and that sort of stuff, which I can understand. But, you know, for something like a Worlds, it just needs to be in a really easy place that majority of the world can fly to in one flight. Like, you can't expect people to fly to multiple leg locations just to get to some discrete track. And it, you know, you can have your sort of Euros or, you know, your FEMCAs in probably a slightly more discrete area, but man, even for those races, really, they need to be in easy accessible locations. It's just a must now.
The World Championship should be like broadcast to everybody. It should be like, don't get me wrong, it's a weird thing. Like, I do like the fact that other countries get it. Maybe it's just like Joseph says, the IFMAR needs to be every 2 years, and then we need to have this World Series or something, which I agree with. I think we need to have a World Series. I think we need to have a Pro Series. Does that make better sense? I would like to see the pros race more against each other instead of just DNC and the Worlds. But definitely make these Worlds accessible, cheaper. Vegas, everybody can get there. It's cheap. You can get cheaper hotels. You know, look at the 2016 Worlds. It probably one of the best Worlds you can go to. I never went, but it looked. People from everywhere were there. Do you know what I mean? People from everywhere in Australia too. But you get just Vegas is
man. You have a look. You have a look at any video of Indonesian Worlds, and Pavitas is like, this is just insane. This is the best Worlds I've ever been to, right? And this is the advantage of Asia. Asia is actually pretty cheap, right? If you go to Philippines or something like that, right, you're staying in really nice accommodation. And like, I'm sure there's this perception that, oh, it's a third world country, it's a fucking shithole. That's not the case, man. No. Like, where you stay is a really nice area. and the guys are great there. So, you know, there's some really great places in Asia that people probably just need to broaden their horizon a little bit. And, you know, they can fly probably direct to like major cities, you know, Jakarta in Indonesia or Thailand or something like that, right? And like these guys have the ability to put on big races and meet the standard pretty easily. Hey,
all right, let's this is a great question. Now what I wonder, so let's plan the next 4 worlds, because it has to go to each continent, right? Each block. So we have Roar, EFRA, Femke, and Farmar, which I belong to. Farmar. So let's pick each ideal location and city for each place where you would hold a worlds. So we agreed Las Vegas is perfect for USA worlds, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty much the spot. Yeah,
I think for Europe it should be Redovan. I think that's an easy access, or maybe it's not, or whatever track is close to Barcelona, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think Redovan is that close to a mate. David would be able to tell you.
Right. Well, I think it should be in Spain. I don't know about you. I think
I think Spain. I think Spain. I agree. I agree with Spain.
Or even Portugal, because y'all's track looks really good. But just
that looks pretty nice.
Both places people want to go to. Barcelona is touristy. Barcelona, you know, let's put these in places that people would like to go to, easy to get to, not too expensive, stuff like that. Now let's think of Asia. If you could put a world right now in Asia, where would you put it?
I'd probably put it in the Philippines. I mean, I feel that most people would feel the most comfortable in the Philippines. Yeah, absolutely.
Another easy place to get to.
Absolutely. You're flying straight into Manila.
Yeah, and flights to Philippines are not very expensive, to be honest.
Right.
It's a long flight, but it's easy. Okay. Now the hard one is Latin America, which is Farmar. Farmar is South America, Latin America, and then countries like Israel and I want to say the Middle East, probably Kuwait and all these countries fall under Farmar. Yeah. We definitely don't want it in Israel, Kuwait, and this place because it's too hot. They have some nice tracks there and stuff like that. So we have to pick a place in South America. Now, people had bad experiences in Argentina in 2012. I went to Argentina. I know how customs can be. That's the big thing with the Latin America. It's customs, because they're gonna they want this, you know, because it's just open air corruption. They want money. Brazil, I love Brazil. I don't know if it's probably the best spot to have a world right now. It's definitely one of the highest level. They have great tracks and all that type of stuff there. I would think outside the box, man. I would go to Colombia, or someplace that's easy to get to for everybody. Argentina isn't, Buenos Aires isn't the easiest place to get to. It's a long flight. Colombia has some great tracks. Bolivia, Santa Cruz would be a good place. It's a great track there. But I think it just has to be
so out of all those countries, which one is going to let people in without the bullshit and customers?
Bolivia.
Okay. Yeah.
You would have to go through bullshit, but Santa Cruz, if the track is still there, the guy Nico, it's Santa Cruz is more on the coast, so it's touristy. Bolivia is extremely cheap. Do they use dollars there? I can't remember. It's the poorest country in South America. It's cheap. And there's the guys that race there are all well off. Like the guy who earns one in track is like it would be like going to a race in Asia. You would have paid marshals, all that type of stuff. And I think Bolivia will be probably the best spot for it because everybody can go there in South America too because it's cheap. So even it was funny because they had when you think of South America, because South America is so big, so they have they have their championships, right? And I'm not sure if because even the Farmar championships, if you race them, it doesn't qualify you for a Worlds. It still goes by individual country. Yeah. So because Dominican Republic actually got, I actually qualified for 2016 Worlds. I couldn't afford it, so I didn't go through Dominican Republic. But even travel in South America for South Americans can be expensive. Because I remember my Colombian mate was showing me how much it would cost for him to go to Uruguay. So I would think we would have to do a Worlds in Colombia. People are like, oh, Colombia. No, Colombia is a lot of fun. The racing is pretty good there, and it's cheap. and you could get in there no problem. But yeah, I don't know, man.
See, some of these countries and tracks, is if they've got the right person running it, you know, and they've got the connections. Like for instance, Cinetic. Everyone's heard of Cinetic track, man. That track was probably the most phenomenal track I've ever driven on in like any track I've ever been to. But those guys couldn't really host big races because the amount of people that would come in, they would need to liaise with the government and inform them that they're running a certain event. And so if they're running a certain event, then they need to pay the government a certain fee. And that fee would be like to the effect of every goods that someone is coming into the country with is going to need to pay a goods and service tax on it, right? So you imagine how much people are bringing in doing RC, and you know that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then so a lot of the times it would be, you know, under the table. Like here's a contact that's going to get you through. And like I've flown into Indonesia before, and you get met by someone when you land, and they take your passport, and then you pretty much walk out of the airport through a side door.
Yeah, that's how it works, man.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
And this is the challenge with some of these countries because it's, you know, they've got the abilities to host something incredible, but there's some loopholes that they need to get through to run them, right?
Yeah, this especially in South America, you would need to. What companies would need to do would have a broker, like they have customs brokers, and you would have to. That guy just knows how to wheel and deal, and you have to pay. It's just simple. You have to pay. It's no ins outs.
That's how it works.
And you pay, but if you go through the broker, it's just cheaper. And I think when they went to Argentina has left that bad taste in people's mouths, and I can imagine they got really raked over the coals in Argentina.
Well, just like those guys were sitting there for hours on end, like you know, right? We've got to pay, but like let's just pay and let's go. Right?
They're just
like,
trying to get as much as they can.
Yeah,
because you know, like some of those guys, like in Argentina, a HB kit a guy was telling me he was paying $950 for it. It didn't come in the box; it came in like in the bags because they couldn't import it in the box because somebody would just fly in with it, like you know, fly in with a few kits in bags. $950 for so when people complain about RC is expensive, it's not as expensive in South America too. So I hate to say this, but maybe South America is one of those countries that until we can figure out things and get a perfect place to do it, which I think Bolivia would be.
I mean, and this is IFMA's job. This is IFMA's job. Exactly. They've got to make sure that if people are flying into this country, that when they land, there's an acceptable letter from IFMA that's already gone through and had its checks and balances, and that all the races can go straight through. If they can't guarantee that, then they shouldn't even
be putting these races here. And
that's what
you are 100% correct. That is their job. When you go to these races, you're coming as a representative. It's like going to the Olympics, I would say.
Yeah,
almost. You're coming to represent your country. It's a privilege, and IFMA needs to do more. If they, like, not just let's do it here because it's gonna be a cool place. Like people are paying $400 or more an entry fee. Let's say it's $500 to enter this race, roughly.
Yeah,
now. That's not cheap.
And where do you reckon that money goes when everyone pays all their entry fee? Exactly, and that is in itself is just mind-boggling. How many tracks have you seen host a world championships and then just collapse in a heap after the worlds because it's cost them a fortune and they've probably not got the money back that they need to just to break even for the event? I mean, that's just madness.
And then where the fuck is this money? It's not going into promoting RC.
Well, it's flying people in, mate. It's paying for their flights and accommodation to walk around
and like not do nothing. Like just it's disgusting, and we need to think about it, and we need to think about what we do when we support these type of things. I think it's getting to the point where we have to ask questions, and that's one of the reasons why we do this on the podcast a lot, to get people to ask these questions. Like like, it's frustrating, man. We have all this in place and they do nothing. Just imagine if this was real life and you had governing bodies that didn't do fuck all. Like, you know what I mean? People would be in arms right now. And especially like in America, it's worse because Raw is just ugh. But at least they get that.
Well, it seems like it's all the private side that's really growing the hobby anyway. You know what I mean? So it's just difficult because there's so much prestige with IFMAR. Yes. So you're really going to struggle to get the main manufacturers away from that. But prestige gets developed over time and just need something consistent. And then eventually it gets prestigious, right? If it's happened over a number of years. I mean, you look at Neo Buggy, right? By the end of that was one of the most prestigious races, and all the manufacturers wanted to send their drivers to that race, right? Yeah. And it'd be the same thing, in my opinion, of RCGP or a similar race, anything like that. If it keeps running long enough, it'll get some prestige. People want it, and then the major manufacturers will start paying attention to it because they can't ignore it.
Why doesn't IFMAR take some of this money and do what EFRA done and hire somebody like Control RC Racing TV? Remember at the 2018 Worlds, there almost wasn't a stream. You know what I mean? Can you imagine that? How the fuck is that even possible? Like there almost isn't a stream. And then there was some, obviously it was some, I think something to do with the scoring with live RC. Like, fuck, I don't care. Like I don't know, like why we don't have. This is the World Championship. It happens every 2 years. Now it's every 4 years because we ain't gonna have one this year. And there should be no argument about there might be a stream. I don't personally. I will pay for it. I don't care, but pay my $20. But it's fucking ridiculous, man. And we need to change this type of stuff. And we need to let people just don't know because they don't. It's the private section. Like people don't even know about Raw, like Raw regionals and stuff like that. Okay, it's just another race. I would like to see that type of stuff come back where it means something. And yeah, like these European championships and these FEMCA races and these Farmar championships, at least the top 15 should get automatic. If you made the final, let's say 15 people to a final, they should at least be guaranteed spots into the Worlds, and then you can take. And let's be realistic. Like, don't give China 13 spots if they send nobody. You know what I mean? Give them 2 spots. Give Australia, like, you got to, it's frustrating. IFMAR's not doing their job. That's the bottom line.
That's right. That's why we got to mix it up. And I think with all the racing and the technology that we've got now, there's definitely an easy ability to communicate and make change with that technology. Before, it would have been pretty hard to, look at us now. We're in the opposite side of the world and we're talking, right? Exactly. So you can get people together and on a common goal with the technology that we've got now. We've just got to have a clear vision on what that needs to be.
I agree, man. I agree. You know what? IFMAR needs to start doing their fucking job. It's simple as that. And these federations as well. Simple. I agree. I like EFRA, but they're kind of slow too, So, and I think, honestly, in America, we either need to have a competing like Norca was, or just pay somebody to run Raw, like, you know what I mean, and get it done properly, like, and just actually give a fuck, like, give a fuck about racers and promoting RC and making RC racing better. Like, your job is not to just collect fucking race fees and be like, we put on a race and we're not going to give enough to this club, so who put on the race and fuck their club after it's done.
Well, I think like our Australian governing body has a couple of $100,000 in the bank. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell are they doing with that money?
I don't know. Like, they're not spending it promoting racing in Australia. Like, you know what I mean?
Saving this money for 20 years. Like, look at the money we got here now. Finally, we've saved this much money. I'm like, we got to start spending some money.
Yeah, donate it to some of the clubs. Like, maybe start a beginner program. Maybe, I don't know, like, help put a race on in Australia where people can see it and get exposed to it.
Yeah,
you got a couple of $100,000. Take 50 of it and go spend it and promote and grow your hobby, your sport. Why not?
And this is the tricky part, right? All these guys, they start thinking that it's their own money and it's their own funds, and they start hoarding the money. And you just like this, you got to think of this as a business, and it's not about saving as much as you can forever. It's about like you've got to keep spending the money and improving the hobby. And that's, you know, for instance, our club at the moment is we're trying to keep the balance at a steady state, but we don't want to save forever, right? We've got to buy infrastructure, and we've got to improve the facilities to make sure that people can see that if they're coming and racing here, the money that they're putting into the club by racing comes straight back into building a new pit stand or undercover area or something like that, right? That's what the community needs to see at the moment.
Are you guys members of the Australian Federation?
We are, yeah, we are.
Well, they should be fucking sending you some money. Send you $5,000 for repairs a year. You're a legitimate club. Why aren't they sending you $5,000 to help with repairs, and you're bringing new people in? They got this. What are they going to do? Take that money when they go, or you know, you pay as a member to be a part of that. You should see some return on that. Like, you know what I mean? And every club that's run should get something. Maybe not as much as that. Maybe at $3,000, $2,000, but it will help.
Yeah, if you can, even if it was like an application for a grant through the governing body, you know, you can specify how this is going to improve your facility, right? And especially if that facility is going to be a host for a lot of the major races in the future.
Yeah.
Right? And it's already ticking all the boxes for facilities, then why wouldn't the governing body want to invest back into that facility to improve it going forward? And the problem we've probably got at the moment is we've got too many tracks around.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you'd be better to just have like a couple of tracks that you're like, okay, you finally achieve, you know, this standard or whatever, and we're going to just make this one facility like absolutely amazing. And
I agree with you. 100%.
Like, all these tracks that pop up out of nowhere and then they're gone in 10 years time. Like Thunder Alley in the States must be one of the longest
running tracks. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's been around for a long time. I went to California 2004, and it was open then for a few years before then. So it's been around for a long time. It's in a park. It's, you know, it is one of the long-standing races. Phil Hurd's another long-standing race. I think it's moved, but it's in the same area. There are some tracks in America that have been around for a very long time that are still there. Or maybe they've moved. But yeah, I'm just shocked at what you just told me. And just imagine how much money IFMAR is sitting on.
Well, that's what I mean, or even Femke, or
fuck my life.
Like,
Jesus.
Must be big coins.
That's why they don't want new people in there, man. It's gonna rattle too many cages, and they're gonna be like, hey, we got this money, why aren't we using it? And they should be using it to promote. Like, could you imagine, like, hey, let's put on the ultimate ever world championship and have the best coverage ever. Let's invite, let's put it in a stadium where we can invite people and charge people to come in, and let's do it professionally, have a professional. Oh my, they don't have the vision to do that, but they could hire somebody to do that. They could hire RCGP to put on their World Series. You know what I mean? Put on their World Championship and promote it and produce it. That's what they need. So
and even if you just take a step like right back and go, one of the biggest things that's growing the hobby at the moment is getting new people into the hobby. Mm-hmm. And like, for sure, like, you know, people see an 8-scale worlds and they'll go, fuck, that is seriously cool. I want to get into that. But then, you know, it's a big leap to go straight into RC and go into 8-scale off-road nitro. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's up to the governing bodies to have or like create a standard entry-level class where the rules are really restrictive to stop them from making the class expensive. Yes. It's just all about only having entry level in there, and they've got to set a really strict set of rules for that.
I think it could be e-buggy and maybe a motor limit somehow on e-buggy.
Yes. Yeah. And a motor limit in 8-scale EP would be that would be the way to do it. I mean, 8-scale is pretty strong. Like, people are going to not destroy their car and they're going to have fun doing it. You've just got to you know, like we've probably got 10 people in our club that are, you know, under 12 years old, right? But you don't want them going out there with a huge motor. So there needs to be the focus on how do you get the next young generation in a way that's going to be easy and not deter them to go off and play the PlayStation or something like that.
We have to make it cool, Zach. We have to make this cool. We can't just be, excuse me, introverted monks at these tracks wearing black hoodies and doing the same thing and like hiding in our corners. Some guy token on your douche flute. You know what I mean? I want, like, I know this is, wow, we went meant to rant a little bit, but like we have these pro guys and you go to one of these races, you'll never, if you weren't into RC, you'll never know these guys are pro guys. Yes, that is part of the allure that we can just rub shoulders with these guys. But there's a difference between you and I. I do RC for a living. You do it as a hobby. I do RC like this and all that type of stuff. Well, there's a difference with those guys. They race for a living. They're professionals. We as a manufacturer, as a company, as an industry, we're not getting what we should be getting out of these professional racers. We need charisma. We need just character and promotion and stuff like that. That's what I want to see. But that's up to the industry and the manufacturers. But yeah, that's my rant right there. About professional racing, make it better.
Oh man, that is a rant in itself.
Yes,
I totally agree. I'd love to get a contract and see what's the extent of the contract. Is it one line that says you just turn up at the race and drive really fast,
yeah.
and then that's actually
I can't use that word. And be a dickhead.
Yeah, and then just sign at the bottom and that's it. I mean, no, that can't be the expectation on the pro driver. It needs to be so much more now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is so much more that needs to go on there. And I feel like a few of them are starting to dip their toe in a little bit, but fuck, they've got a long way to go, man.
Yeah, they
like,
do.
Really.
They do. If I had a pro driver, I'd be doing promos right now for DNC, like wrestling. I'd be like, yep, all right, we're going to make a promo. You're going to be like, yeah, I'm coming to DNC. I'm kicking ass, taking names. Don't get in my way.
Well, how's like Ryan style Harris, man? That guy's killing it. He's got that many videos out there. He's not a pro driver, is he? No. He's just doing this because he loves RC.
Yes.
And like, look at the amount of content that he's putting out and the amount of views that he's getting. Like,
not as much as Mark Santamaria though right now.
Yeah.
Mark Santamaria's killing it.
But he's not a pro either.
No, but he's bridging. What Mark Santamaria is doing is something that he told me when I went on his podcast, which I think is great. He wants to bridge the gap between bashers and racers because there is a million times more bashers than racers out there, and they still don't know what we're doing. So he's kind of their transition from that. You know what I mean? So his content is more catered to bashers. And like he went to SIC and he showed people, and man, he has a super following. And I hope if there's 50,000 plus 60,000 followers he has on YouTube that we're getting new people in. And it could be e-buggy, e-truggy, all that type of stuff. Eventually Nitro will come because they'll see, okay, this is where the glory is. So there's no wrong way to do things. Everybody's doing the individual styles. Yeah. He's doing it with mostly 10. I invited him on this podcast. I think he's kind of ghosted me. I think he's scared to come on the podcast. Maybe he thinks we're going to be too rough on him, but hopefully he comes on.
Well, I think with a lot of the pros at the moment, their schedule is so busy that they don't have the time to take a step back and make that really good content. And that would probably need to come from the manufacturers to say, okay, we're going to just rein them back a little bit, and then we're going to like pull them into the studio, and we're going to talk about the product that they're out. They're probably repping the product really well at a racetrack. And you know, there might be 500 people at the track or something, right? But if you can make some amazing content and you're getting tens of thousands of views, then that's a few more than 500 people, right? So
right. I mean, look at these pro like motocross guys. They have press releases and stuff that they have to be at and do and all this type of stuff for their racing. You know what I mean? we kind of should expect this. Like there should be when we're at a race, there should be like, all right, these guys come off the race and then they can go talk to the press right there, you know?
Yeah.
And
some of the old Euro tracks, man, they used to always do that. Like you go to Euros and they'd have the top three, and it sort of was like similar to, you know, a Formula One sort of style questionnaire at the end of the race. I used to, you know, that sort of, it looked really professional, and you got a bit of like background story on the race on how the drivers are going, and like you just need some more of that, I feel.
I agree. You know what I say, Zach? If you make a big deal of it, act like it's a big deal, people will treat it like a big deal. The people that come, even charge the spectators $5. Like, you know, come in, check it out, $5. Here's a pamphlet all about it. Well, this is a whole spiel we could go on, but definitely we need to do some work with the federations. And I'm glad you came on, because it like seems like a lot of times we just harp on Raw and IFMAR, but it's not just them. It's all the organizations that are having issues. But the head of all of this is IFMAR. IFMAR. They're not about change right now. It's all about tradition. So we have to make that happen. All right, Zach. Well, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate your time. Is there anybody you want to shout out before I go into my episode, my spiel here, please?
Probably a bit of a left field shout out, but you know, Chad Parks for making a pretty cool gas truck, man. We've got a few boys down in Australia now running the truck, and it's just cool to get back to some grassroots racing. And with the latest gen truck, I think he's done a pretty good job of that. And hopefully we see some numbers go back to a class that hasn't run for so long.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good stuff. My buddy got one. They definitely are looking good. Modern gas trucks. Do I think it's going to be the next big class? No. But I think we'll get a class of at various races, 10 heats. Maybe it would be good to see some pros do that too once in a while, like old memories. But great kits. Yeah. If you're thinking about getting one, it's Ignite RC Designs, I believe, on Facebook. And
that's right.
We had Chad on the podcast last year as well. It's on video, so great dude. Great dude. Thank you, Zach, for all your time. You're going to be coming on. I love having the Australian part of it. I can't wait to get like JQ and all of us on one time to do one of these rants. It's going to, when I want you to go like in full Aussie man mode and just go on an epic F-bomb filled rant with JQ. I appreciate your input. Thank you for your time. I know it's late. Check out Pine Hills RC Raceway. Great example of a club track. We will be talking about that a lot when Zach comes on. He also has a great pamphlet. If you have any questions about surfaces, tracks, anything like that, please, Zach, people can just hit you up on Facebook.
Yeah, man. You can hit up Pine Hills Dirt Racing on Facebook, or just straight to me, Zac Ryan, Facebook. Yeah.
And we need another blog from you, Mr. Fancy Pants blog. That's up on the NNRC website. Go check that out, guys, as well. It's a lot of good topics there. Blogs are great. I love blogs, especially when it's something going on and you can describe it so well with words. Shout out to all of the NNRC squad. Thank you guys for all of your support. I hope you guys enjoyed this. You know, we're constantly trying to do different things for the podcast. Keep it fresh. Next week, I think we're going to do like 3 different live shows. We're not going to be at DNC, but we'll virtually be there. So that should be good. And shout out to all the patrons on Patreon. Thank you guys for your support. It's greatly appreciated. If you wish to be a patron, you can do that in the link that is in the written description. Shout out to all the awesome sponsors that support the podcast. Mayako, Tekno RC, Beach RC, JQ Racing, Sun City RC Raceway, Racecraft USA, Manscaped.com, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic, RCMX, Wally Builds, House of RC, and JQ Threads. Don't forget to sign up at House of RC, people. It's really important. Shout out to Rowan the Barbarian, Adam Reevy, Connor Ehlers, and everybody else that helps me out here doing my, in the background here doing the podcast. It's good to have some help. And Zach, man, I will talk to you later. Thank you for your time, dude. Remember, everybody, Nitro's the glory. E-Buggy pays the bills. If you ain't grinding, you're sliding. And I don't know. We need an Aussie saying. I don't know. What do we have one real quick? We're not going to get an oi, oi, oi out of you.
Oh man, no Aussie likes that saying.
I know that. I don't say that to anybody.
No, you're not getting anything from me, man. You have to wait for the next rant, I think.
Well, I will tell the story about the time I went and introduced myself to Kyle McBride and his dad, and the words that I used that made them go like that. So anyway, that's a story for another rant because it's pretty bad. All right, everybody. You know what? That's the end of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, subscribe on YouTube for us, please. That helps us out, as well as Max JQ. And hey, Lefty, I'm gonna get the outro right this time. Out.
Thank you for listening to the No Name RC podcast. We greatly appreciate all the support and love from you, the listeners. Without all of you, none of this is possible. Special thanks to our patrons on Patreon. If you wish to support the podcast further, you can at patreon.com/NNRC podcast. As a patron, you will receive early releases, special content, and patron-only giveaways. Also, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and our website, www.nnrcpodcast.com. Remember, Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. If you aren't having fun, it doesn't make sense. And if you ain't grinding, you're sliding. Lefty out. Nitro is the glory. Nitro is the glory. Nitro is the glory.
That wasn't so bad.